right. Uh, so 2 weeks ago, it's been a bit since we played. Uh, the Left Stars had just arrived in the town of Horizon, a few days early for the event that you came for. And after visiting the mayor's office to get a rundown of the town and its many offerings, you guys made a few stops along the way. Among them, Mouse and Clax sampled many a pastry from the Bureau of Ready to Eat Affordable Dough, aka bread, while Drada and Flint watched Aesopp get fitted for a very fancy, wide-brimmed pastel hat, which later learned to be courtesy of Avendir. Um, After meeting with him, he did discuss a desire to speak with each of you individually over the coming days, and but you all were sort of left to your own devices to sort of prepare for the event. And on the 70th night of summer, you arrived at the opening ceremonies of the Tournament of Tales, eagerly meeting with a variety of patrons and competitors before Avendir began his opening speech. Everybody was allowed to toast the newest vintage of his Ayrshire brandy. He shared some details about his upcoming retirement, and he had given some details about the tournament's agenda before the ceremony had concluded, and an opening reception of sorts began. And that is where we left off. So Avendir has sort of stepped off of the sort of speaker's role at the moment, and you start to see just sort of the hustle and bustle of the room, of people starting to talk, starting to sort of whisper at their tables. You do see Avendir has a set of his sort of wait staff are coming around to get orders, stopping at the individual tables here in the Rising Melody, and there's sort of an expectation that I think you all have to be back here and ready to watch Aesopp compete tomorrow afternoon. But you do have the night to yourselves if you would like to stay here and mingle a bit, or whatever you would like to do. So I will stop talking, and you tell me what is on your mind.
I should probably go mingle about. I'm assuming Avendir's pretty hectic behind the bar, just kind of serving drinks and talking to patrons. So I'll go over and introduce myself to some of the other guests that were like being introduced at the door. So the Puddles, I'll introduce myself to him because I don't think I have yet. I'll go up to like various other patrons, but eventually I would like to make my way to the Feretlia family.
Sure. I will say that Avendir, you do notice, just sort of you look up there to see how busy he is, and he does sort of, I'm not going to be moving tokens around during this portion, but he does sort of get swarmed with a little bit of attention. It seems like he is in demand at the moment. Like, people want to talk to him.
Right.
But you do certainly have opportunities to peruse through the room, and so I'll intersperse those throughout. But is anybody else up to anything?
I think seeing this many nobles and this being significantly more high-profile people from around Ventus than maybe Flint was expecting, he would be keeping an eye out for Lord Pyre.
Okay. You can roll a perception check if you would like. Mysterious backstory character. Who's that?
Uh-oh.
23. With the people presently in the room, you do not find anybody matching the description or you know what Lord Pyre looks like, a Fire Genasi man, and you don't see anything resembling sort of like the fiery red hair and red skin of anybody that might lead you in that direction. So you're pretty confident that he's not here right now. You do notice, with that perception check, you do notice that there's a couple of people going up to the bar and seem to be handing heavy bags of coins to sort of the wait staff behind the table, and they seem to be given like a small bottle of oil before they sort of like are heading outside.
I would try and keep an eye on that and maybe walk, or yeah, I guess because I'm already kind of positioned pretty close to the bar. Just try and see if I can overhear it all what they're ordering or.
Okay. It doesn't take like these people. They seem to have purchased the oil, and they're not like, sliding it into their sleeve or anything. It seems to be like a kind of like, I have this, and they're walking it outside. And as you sort of follow the gaze, you notice those two strangers, two people who were sort of not public names that were worth announcing. They seem to walk out to one of these tables that are sort of far outside. I'm just dragging some random people back there. And they seem to pour the oil inside of a lantern that's at the center of the table before you notice that it starts to glow and create like a sphere of purple magic energy. Just with your high perception check, I will just share that they seem to be engaged in a conversation, but you can't see their mouths moving. You're kind of across the room, but it's sort of like you're getting the sense that there's whatever this is doing is sort of masking their conversation.
Okay. It's some sort of privacy or something.
Anybody else doing anything in particular?
No, just kind of really hanging towards the back, trying to keep out of trouble. Trying to also still keep just an eye on puddles to make sure nothing weird goes down.
Is anyone willing to have a very legitimate conversation with me that's definitely not intention to see if people pay attention to it?
I'm talking to patrons, so I will be very occupied at the moment.
Yeah, I think Aesopp is already somewhere else
That's
right now.
so fair. Cool.
Sure. I'm not totally certain what you have in mind, but
I know it was so vague. I'm like, I don't.
Oh yeah, so vague. I'm just, similarly, thinking. We are also, and this is probably the most Ventus noble folk that Drada has seen, all clustered together. And yeah, Drada's really just. I think I'd be really tempted just to walk around the room, maybe just talking and reflecting about our time spent with Cassandra and some vampire folk, and maybe talking about the blood system we have going, and just seeing if anyone takes notice.
I don't know that we want to try to draw attention here. I don't want to do something that would turn people off to Aesopp's performance before he has it.
Okay.
Speaking of Aesopp's performance, should we try and mess with the other contestants?
No, I've pondered it. I'm not ready for that. But also maybe not night one.
Fair. I mean, I'm not I don't want to hurt anybody or anything. But I don't know. We could disrupt their sleep or, cause them to be delayed tomorrow, or I don't know. Just
If I'm there standing at the table, I just kind of shake my head.
Yeah, my impression is Klaxus, you're still at the table. You're just sort of like keeping an eye out. I say that because drinks are being served, and you probably want to be at the table for that.
Yep, you sold me on that. So, but yes, I would give the dad scowl.
There's like a sickening sensation within Aesopp, and he doesn't know where it's coming from.
Aesopp, do you have a first stop that, between? It sounded like I think your first stop was just sort of random people.
Yeah, I've already talked to the other contestants, so I don't really feel the need to go back. But like all the other, like Bali Brightbeard, Ellen Truegust, I would like to talk to, just kind of like casually introduce myself. Maybe talking to the people from the Source Institute, like the two adults that came with Dustin, just talking about like what the school's about and like kind of relating that I'm also college grad, like kind of discussing those college experiences. And then
Okay, let's
eventually
start. Yeah, we'll start one at a time.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know if you wanted to play
No,
now.
that's fine. I don't want to play each and every one out because we could be here all night
Right.
with an actual meet and mingle. But go ahead and give me a persuasion check for the two named people, Bali and Ellen.
Persuasion.
Okay.
Good start.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't recall if I shared these notes or not, but Bali, introduces himself as the mayor of Horizon. Ellen is the mayor of Skyhelm, which is a place. It's on the island across from continents, connected by the bridge. And they both seem to warmly greet you in a pretty favorable way. So you think you made an impression. You don't know what that means for tomorrow, but
I would like to retroactively add something to that. Can I try to see, like, just gauging the vibes and like the people I interact with in the room, if there are any judges who are gonna be doing like the critiquing and the judging tomorrow? Like, can I like try to see if someone has that kind of like posture tone?
Sure, you can roll a
Insight.
insight check. Yeah.
Okay. Also, is this an open air space? I forgot if you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no actual doors except to a back room.
But there's like no roof.
Arches. Oh, sorry. There is a roof.
Got it.
It's just open air from like without doors.
Okay.
Okay. With the 16, I don't know that you can really suss that out.
Okay.
It seems that a lot of people here, I would say with the 16, a lot of people here seem like they're here to do business. You're noticing what Flint saw earlier. There's a couple other just like people who are sort of appearing in these domes outside. People who are sort of like handshaking various ways that sort of give you the impression that they're either meeting with like old acquaintances, old business partners, or things of that nature,
right?
And having just sort of like private conversations. And you don't see anybody who seems. I would say with the 16, you don't see anybody who's like sizing up the contestants.
Right. Okay. Kind of what I was hoping for. So okay. And then eventually making my way over to the Ferelias if they're not in a business transaction, which I'm assuming they probably are.
Yeah, they probably would be in the immediate time. I'll just drag them off somewhere.
I didn't realize you had tokens for them. How cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there. they're off doing something probably shady. Thinking to myself, not saying out loud. But okay.
Give me another just sort of persuasion roll for the Source Institute folks. Destin, you actually notice that Destin, the one of the contenders, kind of got dragged off by Puddles to have a conversation.
He probably looks frightened and scared and annoyed all at the same time.
Is there anything in particular you want to know about the Source Institute? Because you rolled pretty well.
Shoot. It's just kind of more of an introductory conversation, but just kind of like getting their mantra, what kind of magic they deal in, which I'm assuming they deal with all sorts of magic if they're like a magic-based institute. How like difficult the curriculum is, stuff like that. Yeah. Just kind of sizing up my university with their university. Well,
you do find that they are strictly sort of in the arcane arts, not divine or anything of that nature. And that they tend to recruit people who are thought to be sort of prodigies. It's sort of like a small private school, sort of. So not just anybody can come into it, but that, you know, that they're certainly always looking for leads on talent.
I'm wondering if this question is too much to ask. I'm gonna ask it just because I'm really curious, but I'm gonna ask how they introduce themselves with Destin, like how that connection happened, where'd they find him, stuff like that. I would ask the kid, but he's busy.
Yeah. Roll another persuasion check.
The biggest smile on my face. Oh, that's perception. Wow. Sorry.
We'll take the roll and then plus you have plus 7.
That?
So
yeah,
you have a 25.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's totally fine. So they're even with the 25. They sort of give you the like, well, it's really not in our nature to discuss the private lives of our student body. You know, there's some sensitive information with that, but you do learn that Destin comes from the pond, which is, you kind of make the connection with Lord Darkdraft, that there's some pressure on him to perform well because Lord Darkdraft wants a hero figure from the pond. They're not keen to share too much more, though.
I kind of wince on like the word pressure because I kind of know all about that, and it's just like it reminds me too much of like how I was raised and how I felt. So I was just like, oh, yeah, I know exactly how that feels. But thank you. It was nice meeting y'all.
At some point, just about 15 minutes into all this, Avendir does stop. Aesopp is off mingling, but Avendir does stop at the table with the 4 of you and says, I hope you all are enjoying yourselves. At this point, I'll say out of character, you've all been served whatever alcohol you want, and it's on the house, of course. So, but he says, is everybody doing well over here?
Doing very well.
Great.
This is quite the... Oh, please go ahead, Flint.
Say, how are things going for you? It seems like you were getting swarmed there for a minute.
Well, people want to know what my retirement means for them, so it'll be fine. They'll get used to it.
Sense. Your new brew is delicious. Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
Thank you for sharing your house. Do you host here often? It's beautiful.
I've hosted the Tournament of Tales a couple times, but otherwise we just sort of do private events. Done a couple weddings, done a couple this and that, you know. Always happy to have a party here. Um, before I get too busy, I was wondering if any of you would be willing to have that talk. Just hoping to speak with each of you privately before we sort of have a group discussion about our future work together.
Tonight you want to do the talk with all these guests and all the entertaining you have to do?
It'll just be 10 minutes. I don't want to take up anybody's time.
Sure, I can have the talk.
Sure. Well, the rest of you, I hope to catch you sometime. I think we're trying to do these receptions each night, although they tend to be less attended as the event goes on. But if any of you want to meet on a future night, then I'll be hoping to do so. But Clax, if you could follow me.
Absolutely. Kind of finish the beer, put it back on the table. If they come back around, guys, get me. Thanks,
Will
Lynn.
do.
Avendir will lead you to one of these sort of stone tables outside, and you watch as at some point it's been obvious to everybody that these like purple bubbles have been appearing in the tables outside, and you see that he sort of like uncorks this small vial of oil and pours it into the lantern and sort of turns the flame up before it sort of erupts into this purple energy all around you. You immediately notice that the sound of everything that was happening outside is no longer something that you can hear. You've sort of suddenly entered this very quiet space that is really just you and Avendir who are a part of it. And he looks to you and says, he sits down at one of the chairs and says, well, how are things?
Things have been pretty well. We've had quite a few adventures already since we came under your patronage. I feel as a whole, things have been moving in the right direction. Made some decent coin already. And I thank you for your support and helping us with a couple of the situations. Especially the use of your airship has been a huge help, and I appreciate the fact that you're willing to give those types of resources to people in your employ to make the right things happen. So I do greatly appreciate your help and support and assistance in that.
Of course. I can't say that that's a service I will always be able to offer. I do only have the one airship. Yeah. But while it is open, I'm assured that Captain Willow and his crew are happy to continue working. So, yeah. I wanted to ask you, you sort of, when we first talked, you sort of suggested that you were interested in continuing this because you just wanted to see how things, you were curious to see where things went. I know the Heroes Academy kind of just threw you at me, but I suppose I don't know if you have any additional insights on what it is that you're looking for out of this partnership.
I am looking for a little bit more, but I don't know if it's my place yet. I really joined the Heroes Academy, or went to the Heroes Academy to kind of get away, but I was also kind of pushed in that direction to help track down someone. I don't want to say I'm looking for, because I know where to find them, but try and see if I can't find some additional information on the Bond family, if you're familiar with them.
I am. I know we briefly discussed them. I forget exactly what the circumstance was, but I know when you were guarding my room back in Vend, you mentioned them briefly.
Yeah, just nothing I need now. I mean, I think I like to think I've already called in quite a few favors with like the airship and so forth, but as I continue to gain your trust, hopefully, and we build more of this relationship, if you happen to hear of anything related to the Vaughn family, specifically Selny, I'd greatly appreciate that. There's some unfinished business that needs to be taken care of eventually. And again, nothing untowards or anything along those lines, but just I needed to get out of the city. This was a good opportunity. Eventually, I do want to make it back and kind of set things right, at least in my mind, set things right.
Do you need to meet with her?
No, actually, that would probably be the worst thing at this point. Definitely don't need to meet with her. Just, I don't think the family is on the up and up. I think they have a lot of shady dealings going on, and honestly, on my end, it would be nothing more. I would want nothing more than to bring that to light. And I'm not saying the whole family is bad, but from my experience, there's not a lot of good in that family and in nobles in general. And Avendir, I must be honest, so far you've been a refreshing breath of refreshing fresh air. We'll go with that. I've been drinking, so it's all good. In character, out of character, just water.
Well, I'm not a noble yet, so I hope I don't prove you wrong when I'm elevated here soon. But of course, I mean, I would have to double check, and I think I suggested that this may be the case, but I'm pretty sure I saw her on the list of confirmed attendees. So I'll just flag that for you.
Much appreciated, and I'll keep an eye out as well.
I say this out of an abundance of caution and not as a lack of trust, but should you encounter her, I would appreciate that there is not a scene that is made.
No, as I mentioned, meeting her is not on my list of priorities at all. I don't even know what I would do if I met her. So there's nothing. Because here's the thing: I came from a city guard. I have nothing on this family, but I know the family's not doing right. So for me to just come out with baseless accusations does nobody any good, myself included, yet alone you, who has done all this stuff to give us an opportunity. So like I said, it's just one of those things. If you happen to come across any information, through your travels or through your time, I'd kindly ask you to keep me informed, and I'll do my best to represent you in the best of my ability. I don't speak for anybody else, and hopefully bring honor and prestige to the fact that you've taken on the left stars.
He looks kind of like gracious and sort of nodding and says, I will keep you apprised of anything I learn. The benefit of me retiring is that the benefit and curse of me retiring is that I won't have the same business partners that I had before. And so if there's anybody distasteful, I'll have an easier time getting rid of them. The bad part is that I have a new set of friends to make. If I am to be a lord, I should make nice with all the other lords and ladies, should I need their support in any way. So, I will make a mental note that I should keep an eye on my relationship with her, we'll say.
Yeah, I think the world you're entering, you seem like a very astute businessman and have done very well for yourself, and I think you have a very good head on your shoulders from what I've witnessed. But please understand, my interactions with these people are very different. I've dealt with all kinds of people in my time.
I assure you that while I have not had those experiences that you've had, just because I do business with people does not mean that I trust them. Sometimes money is out of my control. It just has to. Somebody's buying something, I am not able to choose who I'm selling it to.
No, completely understood. So what can we do for you, though, other than representing you here at the Tournament of Tales? What is next on your docket for us?
I would wish to discuss that with the group once the paperwork is in order. Nothing too formal. You will have your autonomy, but I do just wish to speak with everybody else before we sort of get on that page.
Okay. I will ask you the one last question, if you don't mind. Is there anything that we could have done differently in your eyes or are you satisfied with our work so far?
I mean, I appreciate you asking that. The call for the airship was sort of sudden, and while again I'm happy to help, there is. I don't say this to stroke my own ego, but it is a leap of faith to just spend that kind of money and resources on somebody who I've hardly worked with. I would have preferred to do that once we were a little bit more established, but happy to show some good faith and be able to show that I am willing to be that sort of patron to you.
No, absolutely. So the way I think of it is just maybe we're a little bit more into your debt than originally thought. But
no, that's not. I didn't mean it that way at all. You are not bound to me at all at the moment, but because I think you all do good work, and because I think, from what I've seen so far, you guys have good heart, I was happy to make that decision.
It is greatly appreciated, and all I can say is hopefully the Left Stars will continue to do well for you. And the big thing is, if there's anything you need us to do something differently than what we've done or correct anything else, you just let us know.
Very well. Well, if there's nothing else, he'll stand up and sort of like undo the light on the lantern. You suddenly are barraged with the sound of, people talking on the inside of the Rising Melody. And he says, thank you for your time. I do have to get back to the wonderful company that we have.
Have fun, and hopefully if fall went well, Flint should have another refill for me. So I'll talk to you later. And thank you very much, Avendir. Appreciate everything you've done for us.
He'll give you, I don't know Clax's like physical boundaries, but he goes in for the handshake, like the friendly forearm handshake.
Yep. Firm clasp back.
Yeah, and pats you on the shoulder and then walks away.
Excellent. Hey, Flint!
Flint would have tried to get Clax like a flight if they have multiple options of ales or wine or whatever they have here.
Yeah, why not? There's a stout, a pilsner, and a something else.
Strong ale. There we go.
And they are all pints. It was a Clax-sized flight.
Flint, job well done.
I mean, drinks are out of the house, so.
Halfway through the first one. So that was pretty much just him checking in. So it was pretty nice to have a conversation with an employer, for lack of a better term, and he really seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders. I really hope he's not getting into too much with the politics he's about to embrace.
I mean, I don't have a good sense for how much money this guy's made, but it seems like quite a bit. He's got to have a lot of friends in high places already, so.
Yeah. Cheers to Avendir.
As Aesopp is kind of making his rounds, is there anybody in the room that's seems like they're paying particular attention to him? Like someone who's following them with their gaze as he's kind of going from table to table?
Love the support, thank you.
Give me either a perception or insight check, depending on whether you're trying to like sort of determine like people's line of sight on Aesopp versus people's general just like perhaps following his aura, sort of like interest in Aesopp.
I would be more interested in like people who are trying to size him up or prejudge, like, or
okay.
showing particular interest, not necessarily like who can physically see him.
Okay.
Which would that be? Is that insight?
Yeah, I think that's an insight. There is a general there's a general feeling of curiosity that surrounds Aesopp. I've mentioned a few times that there's sort of like a lot of business dealings in this place and a lot of people who are in familiar company, and you get the sense that like this is the first time that that everybody here has seen Aesopp, and probably the first time that many of them have seen even just like a minotaur. And so there's a general sense of like people wondering what they can expect from him. Between the competitors, it does seem from Heartcrusher, Atiel, and Destin, when you sort of Destin sort of is being hounded by Dark Draft. Like he really has no time to really be looking at anybody. But there seems to be a sense of like curious respect. Nobody seems to be aggressive in that way. And I would say at some point you also see the Ferelia family sort of step out of their dome. And you just note, because you're probably paying attention to this, they don't really seem to pay much attention to Aesopp at all. There's a look of unrecognition. So as best as you can tell, things seem to be on the up and up.
A kind of related question. I also just want to say that for whenever Aesopp returns to the table, I think I would have liked to order like a nice cup of like herbal tea or something. Just to be like, you were chatting up a lot of people and you need to save your voice, and also like you can use all the comfort you can get right now.
It's true.
Like, given that there's a lot of business dealings going on, and with Flint bringing up the thought of like talking with people earlier, I think Drada's mind is kind of more on the defensive, and looking around and seeing if one like from these business dealings, if anyone looks particularly disgruntled, or yeah, kind of just like looking for fishy vibes.
Okay. I feel like that would be either perception or insight. Perception is sort of looking for like outbursts, like obvious outbursts. Insight would be reading the room.
Insight.
A 10 is not bad. There's no, but I would say a 10 is not enough to pull out any particular people. I would say just sort of, are you stationary when you're doing this? Or are you sort of patrolling?
No, I think I'm kind of meandering under the auspices of, since I brought up like, wow, what a beautiful home, like really trying to take in the architecture of the space. But also, yeah, looking around and trying to catch and see if anything's on the down low.
Okay. With that in mind, I would say what you get is still sort of in the reading the room instead of in particular like specific people, but you do get the read that of the business dealings, a lot of people are discussing how Avendir's retirement will affect the price of their holdings. It seems like some people in this room have several casks to themselves. Some of the more affluent ones, or like the sort of super nobles, for the lack of a better word, might have like, collections of years and years back, and that there's a lot of like debate over whether this will sort of like increase prices or if it will be like the death of the industry. And like there are some people who sort of believe that they'll be out like tens of thousands of gold by the time that this is all over. The attention does not really stray too far from this at the moment. With your meandering, I will just give you some passive information that like good friend Puddles is sort of trying to coach Destin in a way that is very unhelpful. It's just sort of like this: stand up straight, speak loudly, don't be scared, like do this for your people, sort of like like throwing on pressure that that you look at Destin's face and he looks a little overwhelmed by it. And yeah, I'll probably just leave it at that because it was a 10, but that's sort of what you pick out.
Yeah, Puddles is doing great. He's doing some real great work, y'all.
All right. What if we send like love letters to like both Heartcrusher and Destin, try and get them to like play matchmaker or something? Or I don't know, sneak into
I
their
was
room.
just gonna tie people up in a snare, but that feels much more elaborate and
I mean, I don't want something that's gonna like,
interesting.
come back on us or whatnot.
Well, absolutely.
Keep talking. I'm going to transition your map so that I can prepare this map for the following day.
I can make like, sort of like I make those lights for you guys. I can make things give off like odors or make noises that could be annoying. We could like hide them in people's rooms. Make them annoyed for the evening.
So many options.
Or you just rob the place.
Sorry for the silence. I was really being like, does Drada have a forgery kit? The answer is no. His penmanship, as mentioned, not good.
Chicken scratch.
Flint has a forgery kit and expertise in it.
Like,
Okay. Yeah, I think Yeah, okay, so I think Heartcrusher is really putting out like this really kind of like aggressive, stoic, violent exterior, but I think that's like kind of a defense mechanism, and like maybe she really like expresses love through written word and has a much softer touch there. So like I feel like that's an angle that like would be an interesting surprise.
Yeah, what if the two of them hit it off? I have no concept of how old Heartcrusher is. Destin's only what, like 15?
I was about to say, isn't Destin like 15 years old?
Yeah,
Yeah, a minor. Great.
Heartcrusher looks to be probably in her 40s.
All right, maybe that one doesn't work.
Yep. No, we're not going there.
Maybe it's just an anonymous admirer letter to Destin. Come on, that'll throw a 15-year-old, nerdy kid off like crazy.
oh, but it could also give him a little extra confidence so he does better tomorrow.
Well, I was gonna say, like, maybe it should be a note that says, meet me at, like, I don't know, some landmark around here at midnight. And
Alternatively, he gets two notes. One to build his confidence, and then another that's clearly not from Puddles tearing him down. Also, side question, is Destin cute? Like, Trada's 17. He's a teenager. He has feelings. Is Destin cute?
I mean, I have shared the art, I think, so I think that's sort of totally up to you.
how's his charisma?
Big
Probably
11.
very well.
11. Okay, great.
I mean, charisma is like a force of character. It's not necessarily
Yeah,
like attractiveness.
It's not attractiveness, but confidence matter. I don't know.
It don't hurt.
It's true. Confidence does matter.
All right. Maybe we won't mess with anybody like first day. See how things go.
I'm always happy to snare someone. That's a later objective.
I mean, we could maybe, not that we're gonna mess with anybody tonight, but we could like try and follow some people and just see where they're staying. Know who's at which local inn or something.
What do we gain out of that? Because here's the thing. I have the utmost confidence in Aesopp. So I don't think we need to worry about half the stuff we talked about. And just remember, our sponsor, for lack of a better term, is about to become a noble. We want to kind of probably keep it on the down low. Anything that might cause undue reflection or thought upon him. And while I like to think that we're very good at what we do, I also don't think we're the most stealthy bunch in the world.
Excuse you.
Group. There are exceptions, but as a group, I'm not very quiet or stealthy. I'm kind of... There's a reason why I carry an axe around. It's kind of more my style, my speed.
I mean, I'm not saying we break the law. I'm just talking about some pranks. Like, somebody gonna get that upset about some noisemakers?
At this point, Aesopp rejoins the table.
What are we talking about?
You find a hot cup of tea.
I didn't know what kind of tea you like, so it's like hibiscus, lime, ginger. That's
Yeah,
okay.
my voice is definitely getting to that point. So this is very helpful. Thank you. And I kind of relate the information I found out about the people I talked to, including Destin, because I kind of got a read on him, to the rest of the group. How there's probably a lot of pressure coming on him from Puddles.
That I was walking around and definitely kind of picked that up as well. Also, okay, Aesopp, is Destin cute or not?
Drada, he's like 15. I don't have an opinion on that.
Okay. That's okay. Okay. I was just gonna simp on the side.
I mean, if you find him attractive, just like
Sorry.
have a conversation with him.
Okay.
He's just
moving
a
that
little
on.
awkward. Yeah, you could just
I think out of character, Drod is 100% seeing him as a Timothy Chalamet, floofy, pale, floofy hair, can't do anything for himself, boy. Anyways, but in character, so like, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
Well, shockingly enough, oh my god, it does look like Timothy, please. Shockingly enough, I don't think the family does know me, the Ferrelia family. There just seems to be a lack of interest, coming from them towards me. So that's great. I would still like to meet them and introduce myself, but it seems like they're very busy people. Other than that, I just am trying to make my way around, have everyone know my name, so they know my name when my performance comes up.
Are there any like people the rest of us should talk to? Especially like if we disguise ourselves or something, so that it's not tied back to you?
Well, I mean, I don't think you need to disguise yourselves if you're not going to be doing anything shady.
Well, but like if you wanted us to ask about whatever this family is of the tieflings or something.
I'm only concerned if their very awful daughter shows up. As of right now, I'm fine. But once the daughter makes her appearance, if she even comes, then there's a concern.
Okay.
You want us to like kidnap her or?
You can do that.
Honestly, I've seen everything that y'all can do and are capable of. She is very much like me. She has a lot of magic up her sleeve, unfortunately, so it might be a little hard to do that.
That's so fair and valid, and also you haven't seen everything we can do.
That's true.
Baby.
It's true.
Also, like, I don't know. There's like a lot of people around, and like, people talk. Is there anything like not to be like, are there any talking points that you want us to bring up, like in trying as people get to know you, like to help shape perception, like of you, like I'm going to be like, oh my god, Aesopp, like so kind, so considerate, yada yada, or like, is there a different angle? Like, what's the angle?
Charismatic, sociable, takes life into his own hands, independent. And on that word, I'm like, I'm trying to be just kind of like that shaky like voice saying that word, but I'm trying to be. I don't know, just trying to forge my own destiny, I guess. So
Like,
we're all kind of
tell our
here.
adventures and stuff. Like,
I would. If you want to like hype our team up, I would do that. Give ourselves a better rep, especially with this crowd.
Clax, roll me a perception check. Just because
Sure thing.
I never made you roll for it earlier, but also I know you're just keeping an eye out.
Perception.
Come on, Clax.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Do with this information what you will, but is it correct to say that you're still sort of sitting at the table listening to all this?
Yeah, I assumed I was.
Do with this what you will, but you've noticed that Destin has wrapped up his conversation with Lord Darkdraft, and as Lord Darkdraft is leaving, seeming to leave the Rising Melody, seems to notice you and what table you're sitting at, and he kind of just gives you like the high chin, and then sort of storms off. But there is sort of like, you have been spotted with Aesopp at this point, which you were trying to avoid earlier.
So, Aesopp.
Hmm.
Puddles just saw me at this table and
Mhm.
saw you talking to me. So I don't know if he is put two and two together or if he is again, I don't know. It could be that you're just talking to us, but he definitely made it a point to indicate to me that he had seen me and our group at the table. So,
Well, if he's a smart man, he won't do anything untowards towards me or my family name. So let's just hope he keeps his up and up around me. If not, then I'll just have to call in a few favors.
and then DM, did we see any like his entourage? Were they with him or did they stay outside? Like, is this like I don't think I got a. I think you mentioned like there's some people in there, but not.
His entourage was not part of the opening ceremony, but as you're just sort of following the gaze, it seems like as Darkdraft left that he linked up with a group of people outside.
Understood.
It's like they probably weren't allowed in, but they were there.
I don't think it's a problem, Clax.
Just keep an eye on it and we'll just be smart about it. And
I feel like if I initiate the conversation with him first, it might like level down his tone and attitude. But if not, then it'll be a problem.
and until the event's over, I'll just try not to speak to him, period.
He's weird.
I gathered that. Anyways, I still got half a stout left. Want some?
I mean, I'm trying to soothe my voice right now. I did talk to a lot of people, so I'm just gonna sit.
Isn't honey a thing you're supposed to take for like a voice?
Lint is on it. Mead! Like trying to flag down a bartender now.
Not necessarily what I meant, but
yeah. Somebody rushes,
going all about it.
And within like 20 seconds, there's just another mug that is thrust in front of you.
That is correct. However, I just would like the honey itself. You can have that. Like, that's all yours.
Hi, waiter, sir. Could we also just get like some lemon and honey for this very charismatic, sociable, independent, forging his own path contestant here?
I look at Drada. I'm like, thanks, Drada. You're so kind.
This Air Genasi woman who is sort of just like hear as part of the wait staff. She says, and she's trying to figure out who you're talking about because she doesn't seem super familiar with you all. And she says, I'm sure we can find something.
Thank you
Drada,
so much.
super appreciate that. I feel like if you're gonna like have that conversation with someone, you have to mention my name. You know?
Yeah, that feels fair. That feels fair.
Yeah. But great attempt. That was fantastic and not embarrassing at all for me. Or
Rada's didn't hear the not embarrassing at all part. Is just furiously taking notes.
great.
Is there anything else? It's sort of like the reception is winding down. People know that. I would say at this point you see a number of the competitors starting to leave. If you wanted to catch them before they left, but there's just a general sense of like things are winding down. It'll resume tomorrow. And so if there's any final things you'd like to do before you return to the canopy for an evening's rest, then let me know.
I just feel like we should be some of the last contestants to leave so that we can try to note who's staying at the Sanctum Lavender and who's staying at the canopy.
It's not a bad idea. And then I look down at my 3/4 drank mead and realize, oh, Flint, you're the one who asked for the honey. Did you want some?
Sure.
All right, there you go.
I feel like Flint's not getting blackout drunk, but Flint's having some drinks.
Yeah, I tend to think that Clax has drank more than you, but you're both tipsy, just based on size.
Yeah.
Well, so you're trying to figure out where people leave after they're gone, or where people go after they're gone?
I think go for it.
I think we would just probably, especially if we see a number of contestants leave at the same time, maybe we would kind of exit around then and just sort of loosely follow them, just so we can get a sense for if they go to the Sanctum Lavender or the canopy.
The Sanctum Lavender is like right across the street, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, is there
not-
a way we can angle ourselves to see sort of out of not a window, but an opening?
Yeah, I mean, it's not literally right across the street. It is technically like 12 minutes away, just by grid space. But I mean, they're not all leaving at the same time. So who are you particularly trying to keep tabs on?
I think for me, the person I least know about, God, what is her name?
The one that's not talking?
Yes, I just added,
Antiel?
yeah, Antiel. Just curious where she's ending up for the night.
Okay. You interrupt me if I do this wrong, but my assumption is that you start to see her pack up along with her escort, the person who's been doing the talking for her. You see them pack up, and it sounds like you're just sort of trailing like a minute behind them, knowing that they will either end up at the canopy and you'll be following them the whole way, or that they will curve off to the Sanctum Lavender pretty quickly. Does that sound right? Yeah. Then go ahead.
Only thing I would add to that is I would try to take note of who hasn't left of the contestants at that point, and see if like Heart Crusher or
Heart Crusher's still putting some drinks away. Destin leaves first, ATL second, and Heart Crusher would be there probably enjoying drinks as long as they are coming. But you do follow, not in a creepy way, but you follow ATL from enough of a distance and find that they do actually turn towards the Sanctum Lavender. But they quickly sort of, unless you're doing anything to catch up with them, they will quickly disappear behind those doors. And
No, I'm not following, but I'm also going in and asking and being annoying to the clerk and just because it's just been on my mind all day. I just want to know if my parents are in or not.
The clerk says, I don't believe I have a reservation for them.
Thank you.
And you make your way to the canopy. And you find, I believe you guys already paid for rooms, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Is there anything you would like to do throughout the night? Or are you just sort of sleeping in until the next morning?
I actually go up to Mouse. I'm like, hey, I was wondering if you could send a message to someone if I like describe what they look like, or do you need to know what they look like firsthand?
Unfortunately, they have to be people I know pretty well.
Got it.
I'm pretty sure that's true, DM. I need to like know them.
I think it's dangerous territory to be like let me just message the king. Like,
right.
Because I know who they are. It's like you have to have met them. Met them and not just seen them from afar.
Got it. Okay.
And that just out of curiosity, is not that just true?
I was gonna say that's not just Mouse's ability. That's just the sending spell as well.
Is that true with something like Animal Messenger?
I'd have to look, but my assumption is probably yes. Like the Animal Messenger. First of all, it's a lower level spell. But second of all,
recipient who matches a general description, such as a man or woman dressed in the uniform of a town guard.
Yes, that's fair. You do have to specify a location, though.
Correct.
So yeah, Animal Messenger, I would say, is fine if it's a general description, but you sort of have to know where they are.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Mouse. I'm like nervous, like for my parents being here, but also nervous that my parents won't show up to see everything.
You're gonna be great, and no matter what happens or who's in the audience, you've got at least the 4 of us cheering you on, plus Avendir, plus you met a bunch of cool people today who I'm sure will root for you too. In the morning, we should eat some of these pastries and sit down for a minute, and hopefully I can help you prep for the day.
Yeah, that'd be great. My story for this first round isn't very true at all, but after talking with what's her name? Aurelia. After talking with Aurelia, she'll kind of provide the like little truth aura around the performance to make it more believable.
I do want to clarify that it doesn't turn lies into truth, but it does. When you are truthful, people know. So it's sort of like it's like a song of validation. So does that make sense?
Okay.
So which doesn't mean that like, yeah, I think it's still a good use of it. I want to be clear.
Okay.
Anybody else? Anything in the evening?
I think Flint would probably stay up for a little while. Do they have like a bar at this place, or is it just a hotel?
Yeah, the Canopy is sort of strictly wall-to-wall hotel. There's no.
Okay. Do they have like a lobby?
There's like a couch area in the lobby.
Okay. Flint might just hang out down there for a little while, maybe idly working on something or reading a book. I don't know. Just not so long that he doesn't think he can still get a decent night's sleep, but waiting an hour or two just to see if Heart Crusher ends up showing up here. And if he's waited more than an hour or two or something and she hasn't, he'll just go to bed and assume she's at the sanctum.
Yeah, no luck. She's not. She doesn't show up here. You also don't. You know that there's a third place as well. I briefly mentioned it, the Sour Sack, which is like the cheap lodging. So it occurs to you that she might go there for all you know, but Drada, did you have something? I saw you unmute.
Yeah, I think if Drada can get there a smidge before, if people are chatting in the lobby while everyone's chatting in the lobby, I think Drada would just go to the room Aesopp is staying at and like set aside like a vial of nail polish just because he knows that they both wear the same color, and a little note just being like, "You got this," and just like get that for Aesopp whenever he needs it.
So sweet.
Just like slipping that under the door or something of that nature.
Just thought popped in my head just before we go to bed for the night. For Mouse, just since we're getting ready for the turn in, one check on now, see how they're making out.
I could do that. I don't know that it's been too many days since I checked in with Cassandra, but I could shoot them another message.
I think you only checked in with Cassandra like the day that she left, which has been like a yeah, I think you just checked to make sure she linked up with Jerome successfully outside.
Did I not message them once they were on the ship? I should confirm that then. Yeah, I'll go outside and look at the stars. I need to make some adjustments to my star map anyway. And I will... I'll message Cassandra. Not now. Just because I feel like I spent more time with her and had a better connection.
Either would be, I mean, connect, if you're just talking about the prerequisites.
Yeah, I think Mouse would lean towards checking in with Cassandra over now.
Anything in particular you're saying?
Yeah, just checking in. Hope you guys are making it okay. We've confirmed the airship with Avendir. Hopefully, I know the captain's name. Grumpy Rabbit.
Captain Willow.
Captain Willow is in a good mood for you guys. How are you?
You get I think I've described this before, the sort of like 3-second lag that you imply or you infer to be somebody waking up.
The problem with only being able to send at night is I'm always going to be waking people up.
I mean, Cassandra's probably used to it. She's dating a vampire.
Yeah, that's fair. And she says, hello? Yeah, we're in flight right now. Everything's smooth sailing as far as I can tell. Thanks again.
I will relay to the rest of the party that they are in flight and doing well.
You can watch like the tension drop a little bit just from the day's activities and Drada's shoulders. It's announced.
Well, a night of uneventful, at least when it comes to stressful potential encounters. A good night of long rest comes to you. I don't know that anybody really spent too many spell slots and such, but feel free to recover those if you did.
As well.
And you know, just because we took a week off, I'm just friendly reminder, is that you know that you are due back at the Rising Melody in the early afternoon. And after a long rest, you probably feel it's like a little sense of urgency that you shouldn't linger more than a half hour before you start walking.
I wake up and I see the note. Do you roll the nail polish under the door, or do I have to open the door first?
I think I would roll it under the door.
Okay. And I see the nail polish and I kind of just reapply, knowing that black goes with any color combination, as you and I both know, Drada. And I kind of get my. Oh, I have to go grab my hat.
No, you already picked it up.
Okay.
During the downtime.
Got it. So, I get. Sorry, I got like really scared. I kind of get my outfit together. Is that time to describe what I'm envisioning? Sure. So, as I'm putting it together, it's a different color combination of what Aesopp usually wears, except the blue is still there, but the blue is now mixed within like a shiny bronze with like glittering specks within it. I just love a blue bronze look. I just think the color combos just go so well together. And so it's more of a jumpsuit that's over one shoulder, so it's open on one end, so there's like a lot of fur poking out on this end of the body. And as it transitions down, it kind of fades, or not fades, but it kind of transitions into like a bronze, shiny, glittery material from the blue to the bronze, into more of like a dress pant style pants leading down towards the feet. And then there's a detachable, like accessorized skirt that matches the color combination that goes up front with nice, classy shoes and a hat. A wide brim hat that matches the color combo.
Very good. And I seem to recall, although Aesopp is the star, I seem to recall there was some other outfits that were purchased by Mouse and Klax, I believe. And we've already sort of... I think Klax is just sort of wearing something to be less guardy. And then Mouse is just sort of like more clean clothing as well. But is it correct to assume that everybody is making themselves at their most presentable?
Same thing as Zykorf.
Yes, as Aesopp is like touching up the nail polish, doing final adjustments, I will come sit nearby and say, Aesopp, give me half your attention over here. When were you born?
Look over. Ooh. Give the player one moment as I look into my character sheet.
You don't have to give me a real answer. You could just say you tell me.
I tell you roughly about 24 to 25 years ago.
And Mouse like tries to calculate the year, opens up her star map, and dumps out a couple of small beads that she uses to like move and mark certain things. And says, "Okay, so first I'm gonna look how you fit into the next day and give you the gift I usually give to Drada. Sorry, Drada, and give you gift of alacrity.
Hey, what does that provide?
For the next 8 hours, you can add a D8 to your initiative rolls if
Ooh.
we roll initiative.
Uh-huh.
And then I will. What else is on the list? For the first time, I'm gonna consult the stars and roll Weal or Woe for the day.
Oh boy.
And it's even, which I'll figure out what that means a little bit later. That's all I got.
New abilities.
And right before we go in, or right before you're gonna perform, I'll give you a quick little enhance ability.
Well,
you're gonna do great.
Thank you.
I do want to clarify, because I mentioned that you have to leave in 30 minutes. Just so you know, you do have your full hour for preparing spells and such. Like, no rush like that. But
I sort of assumed I would have woken up a little bit early just to make sure that I have my ceremony, my time.
Yep. Anything else people are doing to prepare on the walkover, or before the walk?
Other than like, I think if it's okay with you, Jem, I think it's in character for Drada to have like a formal set of clothes.
Sure.
Like hair back in like a little tight like man bun situation, and like face paint is like a little bit toned down, like trying to blend in to give as much support to Aesopp as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you have, I would say your disguise kit can be kind of anything you want it to be, and that doesn't even have to include clothes, but it could, So it totally makes sense to have dress wear versus armor. Okay. You all make your way back to the Rising Melody. There are people who are starting to filter in to this. A lot of sort of familiar faces from last night. Some people who you didn't see before, who are sort of being sent to the bleachers, sort of in the back. You are told that seating has changed slightly in that the competitors have a table together. So Aesopp, you are sort of directed towards a table that has Atiel, Heartcrusher, and Destin. They haven't arrived yet, but they arrive eventually.
I kind of wave as I leave the table. I'm like, bye, guys.
Good luck.
Like sweating, like out of character, sweating. Don't mind me.
Based on how things are going, do I think important things are happening within the next hour?
You can roll an insight check.
You betcha.
I'd say you're probably inciting Avendir, who seems to be like show running right now, getting things ready. You get, I would say a 13 is good enough to see that you are not fashionably early. This is sort of the time that people are being let into the theater, so that the show can begin in the next 20 minutes.
Okay, let's hope you're up first, buddy, and I will touch you on the back and give you Eagle Splendor.
Eagle Splendor, which is advantage on charisma checks.
Advantage on charisma.
How long does that last? 1 hour.
An hour.
Oh boy.
That's what I was trying to gauge, but...
Enhance ability is... Oh, okay, yes. Yeah, same thing, sorry.
There is so people are coming in. Avendir sort of quickly stops by the not Aesopp's table, but the left star's table, and says, "Thanks for coming. You guys need anything?"
No, we're very excited.
Absolutely.
Good.
Kind of
A long
straighten
time
his
coming.
jacket.
Sorry, say what, Drada?
Just been a long time coming. Pumped.
Good. I hope you all enjoy. I think we'll be getting started here soon. And then he just sort of has the look of he has something to get to, and he says, "Let me know if you need anything." And he just sort of wanders off. People continue to filter in. There seems to be eventually people are sat at the competitors table as well. You do see that Atiel is nearby, sort of seated at the table adjacent is her sort of speaker. So I'm just going to actually move you over back to the map.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't see the inside of the bar. Perfect.
Just to give you a sense of the seating. So left stars are where they were sat last time. Seating has changed for a few other people. It seems like sort of the closer you are to this, just kind of roughly, the closer you are to this sort of center space where your guys' tables are and where Avendir is sort of prime seating. The people who are closest to the stage. But
are the judges in? Are the judges sitting down?
No,
do I recognize any of them?
You do not. Well, what you sort of gauge is that this table here is the judges' table, and nobody has sat down yet.
Okay.
Oh, technically Aurelia isn't at the piano just yet either, but that's fine.
Do we notice any like notable new faces that weren't here like last night or anything?
You can roll a perception check.
Can I also roll looking specifically for minotaurs or white tieflings?
Sure. Flint, I would say, even though you have prime seating, it's probably a height challenge while sitting down to suss out faces.
Maybe had a little too much to drink last night.
And you don't see any additional white tieflings. There's just you kind of just confirm that the two across the room are still there.
No more minotaurs.
Yeah, no minotaurs either.
And then just
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say, since Avendir mentioned that the Vaughns may be on the guest list, I'll just keep an eye out.
Okay. You may roll a perception as well.
Thank you.
Whole party shows up and we're just eyes. Just
None of us very good.
Nope.
Nope.
Like a lighthouse, just zooming around.
Yeah, I mean it's one of the things about like when you're playing D&D, you're watching things from the bird's eye perspective. But you know when you're sitting like in the first person view, this is like a crowded space. Yeah,
right.
So, it is difficult, and I'll say with the 9 clacks, unfortunately.
Oh, good.
And the aura you're getting right now too is that like this is assigned seating time. This is not wander around and patrol time. No. So you're unfortunately not able to find any sign of anybody from the Bond family.
Okay.
I'm like really nervous that I'm gonna like say something, DM, and you're gonna be like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, God damn it. I'm gonna keep moving forward. Confidence is key.
You just gotta do it. Do you want us to have our break before we get started, or?
Nah, we're fine.
All right,
we're fine.
Fine. Is everybody else fine? All right. After a short time, only like 10 minutes have passed, so that you know that the Eagle Splendor is still in full effect. Avendir comes up to the stage and sort of like holds his hand in the air in an effort to kind of get the room to quiet. And he says, sort of confidently and boldly, thank you everybody for coming to today's competition, the Battle of the Boasts. And there's sort of like light polite applause from everybody around. This is not like, woo, ah, it's not like that kind of environment. But he sort of still stills the room nonetheless and says, soon we will begin the competition, but I do just want to offer a friendly reminder on the rules. Again, minor interference is tolerated. Please do not do anything to harm the contestants or to overly embarrass them. And there's sort of like light chuckles in the audience, people who seem to be in the know of what has maybe happened before. We will invite any of the contenders, should they choose, to go first. But if nobody wants to, then we will do it the old-fashioned way and draw for it. But before we do that, I would like to first introduce our judges for the tournament. And it's sort of at this moment you find through the sort of like they seem to be coming from this direction this direction behind sort of one of these outside doors. You see a tabaxi woman comes in that sort of has a scholarly look about them. And hold on, I'm failing as I forgot to pull up my people. He says, coming from the Pinnacle Library in Dusklight, we have Breath of Fresh Air. And there's, again, a polite applause.
The great name.
Sorry, what?
Breath of fresh air.
Oh, yeah. And I will say, because I'm just going to give you more, this is more lore dump opportunities. If you want to roll me a history check, Aesopp, this is sort of in your wheelhouse. No, unfortunately.
Totally everything about her. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just. I would say that
I'm
Aesopp
nervous.
is too nervous to really think about who this is.
You said librarian or library.
The Pinnacle Library. Second, introducing the Honorable Guros Alabaster from Titlefall University. And you see another white tiefling appear. This is like one you're familiar with, and I do want to set expectations for you as a player. Like, white tieflings are not all the same family. It's sort of like this is the dean of history at Titlefall University.
Got it.
And they are sort of, I'm not going to make you roll for this. They're seen sort of as a stern but fair type. And your first impression is that it might be hard to entertain them, but that they'll treat you fairly. Third, it's my pleasure to introduce Imril Skywind of Hyperia Theater. And you see this older elven woman pop out that just sort of has like a calm, sort of like appreciative look on her face, like she's happy to be here. I'll let you roll a history check for her as well.
Okay. Many words being written down.
And I'm happy
history.
to copy paste some of this to you after
Not too
the game
bad.
as well. You only have a +1 in history? Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought you were proficient in it.
I am not.
Unfortunately, 11 is not enough for me to give you more details about her.
You said she's elven?
Yeah, elven woman from Hyperia Theater. And I should say she was introduced as the director of performing arts. And then Avendir sort of says, and last, I would like to introduce, and there's sort of a moment where everybody finds themselves shielding their eyes as there's a bright purple flash of light inside where there's a man who seems to apparate out of thin air, and you all look, and there's a sort of man he's almost made out of starlight, and sort of like almost like a nebula of sorts, and he has sort of a placid look on his face, and like out of character, he sort of has like a Dr. Manhattan energy about him. If that makes, I mean, he's wearing clothes, I should be clear, but
No clothes.
but he sort of like appears out of nowhere, sort of like as like light will coalesce into this purple energy, and he sort of just like looks in the room with sort of a straight face, before just sort of like giving a polite nod. And Avendir says, welcome to Arcana. I'll let everybody roll a intelligence check about him. Or a history check. We'll say history check.
Hey.
Nope, don't know stuff about him. Ooh.
All right. Well, some of these are good. Some of these are less good.
Like the nat 20 for a 19.
Yeah. I'm gonna.
And Mouse isn't from here, so
Yeah. But so it's like Mouse.
He's a nebula.
Yeah. I say Mouse understands what I'm about to tell Flint, but has only heard it like sort of as a story. Like somebody talked about this in small talk, and you barely remember something about this. But Flint, what you sort of have heard is that, and this is more of a sort of like worldly history, is that I think I've shared this with a few of you, that titles that are bestowed on people sometimes sort of reflect in their name. And so when you've been helping the unifiers, they've sort of said Ventus wants this, Ventus wants that. That is implying that that King Ventus is sort of ordering the unifiers or demanding this or that. And you know that is what the king is referred to as. The king is referred to as Ventus. All that is to say, somebody being named Arcana, there is a magnitude that follows that title and that name. This is somebody who is functionally the king of magic. You don't, like a 20, with the 20 that you rolled, I would say that doesn't necessarily imply that they are like godlike or anything. You know, magic can be a very powerful thing, but that they have sort of they are trusted as sort of the foremost expert on magic in the entire world, which itself is probably a little bit intimidating.
I will not even attempt to share that with Aesopp. Not that I could, but
I think I didn't hear what you just said, Aesopp. Yeah, you're not muted. Okay, you're good.
Yes, we're on different tables. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, not that I could share it with you, but I wouldn't, just to like not make you nervous.
I'm like, wow, that's a pretty purple man. Crazy.
And as the room sort of stops to shield their eyes, and they've sort of been clapping between each of these judges being introduced, Avendir says, one final person to reintroduce, of course. I should welcome Aurelia Cloudstone back to the stage. And you see from the back room, Aurelia comes out and finds her seat at the piano. And then as everybody sort of quiets down in this space, Avendir sort of looks towards the competitors' table and says, well, would anybody like to go first?
I wish I could say I had the confidence to go first as Aesopp, but he's probably, after seeing the judges, he's probably
just remember your charisma checks.
If no one says anything,
yeah. Nobody. I will tell you that nobody opts to go first, but that doesn't mean that you have to.
Right. Just because you know what? Sure. I'll stand up and just be like, I will go first.
Yeah. And then Avendir says, let's hear it for Aesopp Trin of the Left Stars. And there's just, again, clap, clap,
it's
clap.
Tyrion. Tyrion, it's Tyrion.
I think Avendir knows that.
Yes.
As the DM, forgot that. So Avendir gets it
before
right.
R. Yes. It's. Oh no.
Oh,
okay.
Back.
Mouse, you're slightly too loud. Like your parents at your graduation.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Is Mouse a woo girl?
I don't think so. That doesn't seem like it happened in Sparrow Den, so.
Fair enough. Before you start anything, I'm going to ask you to roll 6d10. This is sort of, these are, it's sort of like a random encounter table. These are things that could happen during your performance. There's going to be like 2 things that may or may not happen during each of the 3 segments. So, so I'm just looking to sort of map those out. And if somebody else, somebody can volunteer. Somebody else roll me a 1d6.
Okay, it worked. Great.
Okay.
I'll roll
40.
a d6.
Okay.
Even number. We like even numbers, right?
We got that wheel, we got that 30. Yeah, it's an even number kind of day. Everything's gonna go so great.
So great, so great, so great. I'm like
Right.
thinking back to the story that I've created, and I'm like, well, they want fantasy.
So I know that you said you didn't want to break before, but I think I'm going to ask for one because I want to
Okay.
take these rolls and make sure I'm adequately prepared to dole them out.
Gives me time to get water.
Yeah, so we'll just go ahead and take a quick 5-minute break and then see what Aesopp has to offer.
See you
Alright.
guys in a minute.
Bye.
Right? So, Aesopp has taken the stage. As my entire screen flashes and everything breaks. 1 second.
Of course. Hello.
Is perhaps the most unfortunate timing for that. All right. We are back. Okay. Aesopp takes the stage, and Aurelia she sort of like hangs over the sort of inner railing to kind of like, she whispers at you like, "Tss," like to get your attention before you start, and she says, "Same plan as we discussed."
Yep, I got the visuals.
Okay.
I just look at her. I'm like, thank you.
Don't mind the lights.
Got it.
A few things happen before you actually begin. One, you notice that the judges' table, they put some oil in the lantern in front of them, and they seem to raise. It's a little off center of what I planned. They seem to raise some sort of protections around them. This looks similar to the oil you've seen burning outside, but it's actually sort of, it has a different resonance to it. So you think it probably has a different effect. Like, they are able to hear you. Second thing happens is that as Aurelia starts to sort of begin a melody, you find yourself sort of bathed in a kind of cold light that will be the song of validation or the song of truth. So you know this to be an effect that will tell the audience when you or what elements of your story are most truthful in order to lend authenticity to parts of your story. And so you have that positive effect going for you. And then with the dice you rolled before, a couple things happen just before you start.
God.
When you rolled the 10, I'm kind of going in order from, like, I looked at your 60-10 and I'm just doing them in order.
Okay.
I would like you to roll a perception check as you're scanning the crowd. As you're sort of like taking a deep breath, looking around.
That's so good. The lights, they're just too blinding. I can't see anything.
It's like one of those, you tell me, because I'm potentially offering you advantage on this. And it's not just to be a gimme, but you tell me if there's anything in particular you're looking for.
In the audience?
Yeah.
Can I, like, are the stage lights so blinding that I can't see in the audience, or can
I? You can see, yeah, the entire room is well lit. There's just particular light shining down on you from Aurelia.
I think, of course, as an orator, you got to look at the audience itself, not just like a few specific amount of people. But I think before I start, like as I'm about to begin, I think I'm going to focus my attention to my right, which is where my group is, and then interspersing that with just like scanning the audience just to see if I recognize people that are sitting down, not at the tables, I'm assuming, but just in the audience pictures.
Okay. Go ahead and roll one more time as if this was with advantage.
Cool beans. Cool beans. Yeah, the lights are blinding me.
It is unfortunately not meant to be. As far as you can tell, you have, it's sort of, there's no negative effects of this. You're not able to get any reassurance from the crowd perhaps in this moment, but you do, but you don't spot anything happening. The second D10 was Flint. So I will say, like, as Aesopp looks towards you, Flint, is there anything you do particularly to encourage him?
Oh, I have to do a thing.
You don't have to. You can.
Aesop just looks in my general direction, and I have a chance to encourage him.
Or if there's anything you'd like to do anywhere else, I will say, like, this is sort of like your action in this moment before Aesop starts.
I was not expecting a thing. What could I do?
As he's thinking about that, major illusions can move, right?
Yeah.
Have we gotten a sense for like what outside people are allowed to do and what they aren't?
No, not at all.
Okay. I don't have a lot of great options for this kind
I
of
mean,
thing.
you can just give him the thumbs up. He doesn't have to be.
I think I would, mostly just give him the thumbs up. Because I think trying to like disguise myself as his parents seems weird. So yeah,
Yes, that would be weird. All right. With the thumbs up, Aesop, you will get +1 to your roll from Flinch.
What roll? Just any roll?
After you give the performance, whatever roll I deem fit is going to be a +1.
Oh, great. I will write that down.
But the room quiets, and you are welcome to begin.
Okay. Ooh, okay. I'm gonna take one sip of water before I start. That cat's giving me encouragement. Running, sprinting, documenting the legends this world has to offer. Diving deep into the mysteries of our island and those surrounding us is where my destiny lies. Built from a family who saved those in our known world, I want to meet those in the unknown. I will be that orator, that storyteller, and that friend who shares that knowledge with all of you. And I'm going to transition then into my poem. And then as I was looking down at my book to begin with, and as I start the poem, I'm going to look up, and the book is just going to be floating in front of me, as it is my little arcane magic book. Endless waters, sea to shining sea, make waves that crash in the unknown, a world that some may find hard to be, trapped, finding nothing but being alone. And as this first stanza starts to emanate from within me, you see above, like, an airship forming out of thin air. And within this airship, there seems to be huge waves trying to crash down onto the ship, trying to, like, bring it down, crash it to the ground. But there's just blackness underneath. There's nothing below it. You just see ginormous waves crashing down. And for the left star specifically, if you look close enough, you see, if I can add in this little detail, little spots of our characters on the airship in different positions on the ship. Deepest search requires the utmost care for those who not just think, but dare to find the oasis amidst the savage toil, proving that this wasn't just a foil. A head plastered on like a paint stroke, breakage from the sea foam mystery, a mass that just begins to croak. That will begin the next chapter in history. And as I end, I kind of like wave my hands in front of the book, and the characters on the airship, the little tiny dots, jump off the ship into the blackness as the illusion fades. And that's where my first break is, if you want to do something, DM.
Sure. And I think, like, you know, there's sort of like built-in times for the audience to give applause to, and so there's sort of like this moment where you start to get a light applause. Would you kindly roll a performance check for me with advantage because of Eagle Splendor?
And I will use a wheel to give you an extra d6.
Oh boy.
Cool beans.
Do you want to roll that, Mouse?
Sure.
Oh, I wrote the same number. Okay, so making
Okay.
that a 16, adding in from Calliope, because Calliope is with me. If my book's out, I will add in a Bardic Inspiration, which is a D6, D8.
I believe. Just roll your Bardic Inspiration die. It should be coded in. I
Oh,
think it might be a
yes.
D8 now.
Yep, D8.
Oh,
Oh, shoot. So I'll just roll D8 then.
yeah. Learning new software. Okay.
So 20.
20. That's like one of those nice threshold numbers. You hear sort of a what starts as sort of a gentle applause turns into something like you start to. I will actually say, go and roll me one more perception check as you're sort of just like basking in the applause.
God, I am
Yeah.
so nervous, I
No,
guess.
it's
I
fine,
can't
but
see.
you're focused.
I
You're
am.
focused on the competition, and you hear sort of just like the sounds of kind of light cheering from the benches. Um, Before you begin the second leg of this, um, your eyes drift towards the competitors table with one of these D10 that you rolled, and
Mm-hmm.
you look, and they seem actually so far impressed with your performance, and sort of like as sort of like healthy recognition from fellow competitors.
Right.
You're going to be granted a +1 from them on your next roll, which technically you would have had a 21 because you had +1 from Flint.
Right. Okay.
And then the second of those was Drada. If there's anything you would like to do.
I think Drada is sitting at the table, like, holding a cup of tea if he can. Yeah, if he manages to make eye contact with Aesopp for a moment, just like mouths again, same thing on the card. You got this.
Oh, so nice.
Okay. I think that's another +1. So we'll give you +2 on this next roll in total. But the applause dies down as you find your cue to begin the second portion of your story.
We reach the darkened and storm-stricken land. Landing off a sandy shore, we explore the immediate surroundings, finding no sign of human life. Strange bugs litter and emanate sound and noise throughout our party as we tread carefully within. Myself leading the way, I stopped everyone right in their tracks as I gazed upon what looks to be a floating mountain, a cavern built just inside beyond the horizon. Levitating in the air next to an extremely tall and thick forest line, we cautiously jump between each stone up to the opening. 60 feet in the air, so close to figuring out what lies within, and then we saw it. A necromancer, shrouded in shadow, emerged with 4 arm-like limbs and 3 protruding legs. Screaming and shouting in an unknown language, dark magic was thrown against the party in a fiery rage. And that's my second pause.
Okay. I'm going to ask for this roll to be a persuasion instead of performance, because, well, it may actually be deception. Correct me if I'm wrong. My feeling is that you're playing off of the Song of Truth and you're trying to make this all sound truthful. And the Song of Truth can help you with this, but it still needs a little bit of support.
With my silver tongue, I need to remember that anything below a 10, or is that a 9?
Yeah, anything below a 10 becomes a 10 on a persuasion.
So
roll.
deception.
Or deception.
Wheel! Getting my uses out.
Yeah, do it.
Oh,
29.
Good for all.
29 plus 2.
Plus 2, 31.
Fuck truth in the narrative. Just lie all the way.
There is sort of like the like now sort of like awe of the crowd, that they're sort of like really immersed in this fact, as far as they know, that that there was a necromancer that you all have engaged with at one point or another, and you feel like you are on a roll so far. The sort of this one, as you're sort of basking in the validation of that, your eyes naturally find themselves upon the Ferelia family. How you sort of described in the previous reception that you're not too worried about them without the daughter being there, but I want to ask you, like, in this moment, how does Aesopp feel looking at them? They do have sort of they are not clapping too loudly. They are sort of like stone-faced. They're not being rude, but it just seems like it might take a lot to impress them. So how does that make Aesopp feel in the moment?
Honestly, since I didn't really grow up with the parents, I just kind of grew up with their spawn. I don't really care about their personal opinion. I feel like I'm doing well with the confidence that I have, so I just know that I gotta keep rolling with the flow and keep doing what I know how to do best, and whether they like it or not, it's not really my problem.
Okay, then I will not make you roll a fear saving throw, because Aesopp is confident in the face of that adversity. Now, the last roll was technically Flint again, but I don't want to double up. So do either Mouse... Actually, I want to say Clax, because Mouse already has sort of contributed via the spells.
Mouse
and
is
stuff.
supporting over here.
So Clax, is there anything that you particularly would like to offer before the third leg?
So from the crowd, what's I know everything's been kind of muted and subdued. Has there been any talking at all during any of this? Has anybody been doing any whispering or anything like that? Or has it just been very kind of hushed and golf clappy type stuff?
Go and roll me in perception or insight check. Let me give you something based on that.
Not much.
I would say from your perspective, it's been like you would expect from somebody going to the movie theater and being immersed. You feel like there's some polite clapping, and then there's some sort of like light gasps, like, oh, stuff like that. More not from every table though.
I think I just, not the obnoxious yell, from the drunk guy who's been drinking since 10 in the morning, but more of just, what happens next? Kind of get everybody like I'm captivated on my seat, kind of just, what happens next? See what happens.
Hyping me up.
Okay. Sort of standing out like a sore thumb, I will say. But nonetheless, you aren't the only person making noise. You do have several eyes turned towards you. Go and roll me a perception check as you sort of recognize that there's some attention on you.
Oblivious to it.
Yeah, you're caught,
you're enjoying it.
You're caught up in the moment. And we'll begin as Clax just sits back down, we'll begin the third leg.
I did just to be clear, I didn't want to stand up, just kind of yell at,
Yeah. Oh, fair enough. I'm not going to offer any pluses on that, because they're sort of counterbalanced by the attention being thrown away from you a little bit. So
my bad.
No, it's all,
no,
it's all
you're
good.
good.
Go ahead and start part 3.
Leaping and dodging and diving out of the way, it became very difficult not to fall down the steep ascent. My last resource remaining, I pull out my trusty friend Calliope, and I whip out my newfound pen. And as I do so, I'm going to start the spell, the next major illusion spell.
It is counterspell.
And watch flames.
You find, as you begin bringing the spell up that it completely fizzles. And go ahead and roll me a concentration check, sort of.
What do I
This
roll
is
for
sort of
that?
like a Constitution saving throw. This is sort of like how you roll with the punches.
Hey, not too bad.
It throws you off, and but you can keep going.
Okay.
It throws you off noticeably where people see the pause.
Oh,
Do
so
I
it's
clock
noticeable.
Yeah. Sorry, Flint, go ahead.
Do I clock that happened?
Same question.
Yeah, those at the table, go and roll a perception check really quick.
I'm
I'm gonna let
notably interested in being able to tell if I can figure out who counterspelled it.
We're gonna go back in time and resolve that. I do
That's
want Aesopp to go ahead and finish the story.
Yeah,
with this interruption in mind, and then we'll rewind time and resolve who did it. So Aesopp, go ahead, continue. Like, you begin casting the spell, and what does your face look like, and how do you transition back?
Probably a little stunned, knowing that Aurelia did warn me that tricks were a little not uncommon here during this tournament. It still caught me off guard because I was expecting, since not a lot of people know me, why would anyone come after me specifically? So I'm gonna roll with it. And continue. Sorry. Friends recovering and the fried smell of flesh in the air, we are able to assess the damage and the cavern inside. However, the only thing we were able to find was this. And another illuminary magic spell. I'm gonna conjure up like a black iridescent flower that has as many petals on it as like a typical rose does, but instead of being shaped as like a rose shape, they're like folded in and shaped like a star instead around the center.
Sorry. Oh, so you're using your third level
yes.
spell. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, it's my last one.
Yeah, everything's fine.
And I conjure it out of my hand as the book's still in front of me, and I just kind of present that to the audience. Where danger consumes, dominating and caring, flourishes a life. And I kind of bow with the flower still in my hand pretty deeply, making sure people can still see like the flower in my hand. Mm-hmm. And that's the end of my performance.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a straight roll performance check.
Okay.
The flub that was caused by an external source has sort of negated the advantage.
That's fine.
With wheel. My last one.
Woo!
Okay. I mean, 23 is pretty good. You sort of catch your breath, recognizing the stress of being interrupted, but are reassured by another somewhat like gentle applause as you sort of like look and scan the crowd. Just give me one last perception check.
I'm okay. Come on, please.
Well, and
oh, that's persuasion. I am so sorry. That gives me a super boost.
We can take the 15 plus whatever your.
What is my perception? +3, so 18.
You do look. I think in this moment you're able to feel some relief despite the challenge that you faced. You're able to find some relief and be able to more thoroughly scan the crowd, and you do look up in the bleachers and do see your good friend Jory, who is up in the stage, seems to be clapping, and of the people sitting there, he is standing up and sort of gives you like the whistle that I as a DM can't do. Your
My
biggest fan.
I know it pretty well. Yep.
Yeah, your biggest fan is making a little bit extra noise for you in the corner.
Kind of glad I didn't see him beforehand. If you guys are looking at me, there's probably like some blush that's like coming on my face, knowing that he probably saw all that just happened to me. So I could just bow again, and I kind of wait for instructions to leave the stage.
Yeah, and there is the Avendir sort of stands up and says, "Let's hear it again for Aesopp." Sorry, I'm gonna fuck this up again. Aesopp Tiern. Okay. Aesopp Tiern, and there's sort of a applause as he sort of gives you the side wave gesture as if sort of directing you back to your table.
Wave as I leave the stage. I kind of like look. I don't know who it was, obviously, but I kind of look at the contestants, just kind of like not like death glare, but squinty eyed.
Yeah,
we're
gonna rewind time a little bit and resolve what the player saw in that moment. And I'm gonna specifically offer this to Clax because you rolled the highest. I would say, well, yeah, Clax is able to pinpoint it. I would say Drada probably picked up on sort of the sounds of vocal spellcraft somewhere sort of behind you on the wall, but you're not able to pinpoint it as clearly. But Clax, as you sort of turn around to the table directly behind you, you do see another familiar face. And this is sort of in the moment where she casts a spell and you look back, you see the familiar face of Selnivan, who's sort of giving you the death glare. And as Aesopp is catching his breath, she sort of looks directly at you and says, "Friend of yours?" You cheered a little bit too loudly back then.
Just turn and watch the rest of the performance.
She has sort of like the cocky grin and kind of gives like the finger wave of taunting recognition. But you turn around and the performance continues. But as
Fuming, by the way, just fuming.
But Aesopp, going back to the time, I would say Aesopp probably can tell that something is off with Clax, that Clax is maybe a little upset, but you don't recognize who casted the spell behind him.
Yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't have caught that at all. I definitely would have looked over to the group though, just like seeing their reactions, being like not give 2 thumbs up, but like give that vibe, like, did I do good? Like, did I do well? And then I'm like scanning each of their faces. I can see Clax is just like beat red, smoke coming out of ears. I'm like, okay,
the rest of us are like
happening there.
The rest of us are very encouraging, and Clax is just upset.
Absolutely. I'm like clapping politely as everyone else is, but also going like, oh my god, wow, he's so charismatic, so sociable, so independent, looking to forge his own path.
Absolutely.
Campaign messaging.
I need flyers now.
The applause dies down as people take a breather from that performance. You do see that the judges are sort of, they all seem to be kind of giving a polite clap as well, except for Arcana, but it seems that he's maybe just the type of figure who doesn't show emotion. It's not, he doesn't have like a disgusted look on his face. He just sort of isn't responsive at first glance. I will ask you as players, because it's potentially a lot of exposition. Do you want these performances from other people? They're a little bit shorter, and they're like not necessarily going to be as like, I'm not going to do all the random events and whatnot. But I am happy to share them if you would like.
Yeah.
We gotta see the competition.
Yeah. Break a leg. I still think it's one of the competitors, so I'm like I'm being a little shady.
All right, so I'm gonna skip sort of the introductions and whatnot.
That's fine.
Interrupt me if there's something you want to do, because I'm just gonna keep going. So just say like DM, I do this, or DM, I do
And-
that.
In chat, I'm gonna use all the spell slots that I use during the performance.
Okay.
Just FYI.
Are they pausing or just kind of straight through?
I was planning on bringing them straight through.
Well, if anybody seems like they're doing better than Aesopp, I would like to distract them.
Okay. I will then sort of just, because I've already pre-rolled these results, I will give you sort of the crowd's initial reaction after each little bit, so that you can decide whether or not you want to interrupt.
Gotcha.
Heart Crusher is welcomed to the stage, and you see has a short conversation with Aurelia and has a very similar magical song that is played to the Song of Truth is the one that she seems to have chosen. And I'll tell you in advance, the way that this sort of feels is that as you sort of bask in this, the energy from the song, you get, throughout Heart Crusher's story, you get the impression that it is entirely truthful, albeit dramatized. The song sort of gets into a rhythm as she begins her spoken word poem. She says, "Purple roses bloom on a barren meadow, a dark tiding. My compatriots do not show, but when the battle begins, I am not hiding. A worm as long as the tallest tower, its size a show of power, the town's mood dour. People cower, but in their darkest hour, like the roses, I flower." And that's sort of like her first little bit, where there's like polite applause. People don't really understand what she's talking about.
Yeah, like the mixed meter, honestly, like is weird there. Like, okay.
She continues with the second leg. "The people cried in fear as I jumped into the creature's maw. My maul, an extension of myself, Heart Crusher, the name I earned the day that the guilds pulled me from what remains of the worm's insides, the name they cheered when I arrived. And as the people rejoiced upon the visage of my acid-burned skin, I wept. The battle was over, and I'd been given a new name, Heart Crusher. Tears came, and I said goodbye to my former self." And there's another pause. The song is sort of washing over people in a little bit of sorrow. There's sort of the implication that she is sad about what happened, is what you're getting through from this. And she begins the third portion. Heart Crusher, the Worm Slayer, my lush hair gone before it got grayer. Layers of my identity, prayers ignored. When I asked for better days, the soothsayer wavers. I am a purveyor of death, and when the mayor has a monster problem, who am I to disobey her? And this whole time, she just has not given a shit about the crowd. She has just been sort of reciting this flat and straight. And, you know, the crowd reacts in a sort of respectful way, like, "Oh, okay." So she's like, you like hear some whispers around, and you're like, "Okay, she's like a monster hunter." Like, okay, like, and she did a little rhythm performance there. It's respectful. People are glad that she took the stage, but she didn't seem to capture people in the same way that Aesopp did. The next competitor that comes up, Atiel, who noticeably does not take the stage with her sort of companion that does the voice. Aurelia doesn't even get up to speak with her. ATL just sort of gives a back nod to her as a different song starts. And what you're able to gather from this is that this is a song of like a song of counterspell. Functionally, it is preventing all interference, all magical interference upon her during this performance, unless you wanted to cast something to further that would like upcast or somehow get past the counterspell. But
I don't think I'm that talented.
What you quickly find is that ATL is not telling a verbal story. This is a very talented illusionist who is weaving what is functionally a silent film with illusions in the air. And the music is sort of synchronized with it in a way that is sort of expressing the feelings that she is intending. And what you sort of see is that there's a sort of illusion of a little younger elven girl who is sort of growing up rapidly. There's sort of like different, the face is constantly changing as if it's aging. There's audio that is coming in the form of words from the illusion of a little girl who's being sort of like yelled at, scorned, being sort of like dismissed by what seem like parental family figures, and they keep sort of screaming at her, "Talk, why won't you talk? Please talk." But she never does. The little girl never does. And there are kids making fun of her. The sort of illusion is sort of swiping between these many different scenes, where this girl is sort of burying herself in books and seems somewhat alone, but she, despite all that, has an upbeat, happy appearance. This is somebody who, despite the adversity around them, seems to constantly be themselves and be able to survive that environment. That's the end of the first stage. Is sort of this almost like tragedy of somebody who's growing up in what might be sort of an abusive household, or abusive child life. The next sort of stage goes into a building that is sort of being made of vines that are sort of twisting and forming into what appears to be a temple of some kind. But you find that flames start to lick up the temple as it starts to burn down, and you see rising buildings that are sort of more modern in construction, brick and mortar buildings that are taking place of these sort of this like vine building and these like vine temples and whatnot. The little girl rushes over to try to help, but people are sort of shoving her out of the way, saying that, you know, she's in the way, she's useless, she can't help with the fires. And while the people do eventually get the fire under control, she is sort of shoved out of the picture. Nonetheless, she has a relief on her face as people sort of say, if you hadn't gotten in the way, we would have been able to do this faster. It sort of continues having this sort of like sad, dour. This woman is being constantly berated and scorned, but she's still trying to maintain some sense of confidence. And in the third act, there's another appearance of the girl sort of now taking a recognizable form of Aetil, the woman on the stage, who's writing in a book in the backyard of a more well-established home, sort of tracing symbols into it. And as she traces these symbols, you see vines sprouting from the ground, in a visage that is sort of similar to the buildings that had been burned down earlier. You get the impression that this is somebody who has found their purpose and if people will not allow her to help, then she's just going to be a builder of her own. She is rejuvenating the city. She's sort of, as damage is being done, she is reconstructing it. And the impression you get is that she's kind of the last line of people in whatever the city is who are maintaining sort of the heritage and culture of this city. That she is like the last line of defense from getting this city to be fully modernized and fully sort of like having all of this, like these older vine buildings being destroyed. She is the person who's holding that line when nobody else is. And then her illusion ends. Those of you who sort of are magic users know that it's probably a pretty powerful magic to maintain an illusion of this nature.
I'm crying.
Especially for so long, and she sort of gives a polite bow and then sort of walks back down. The general vibe from the crowd, which I forgot to give during each portion, was that of like respect and admiration, probably close to, but maybe a little less well received than Aesopp, in as far as the crowd is concerned. I will say, regardless to how the crowd reacts, you have not gotten any measure from the judges on how they are responding to any of this. They all have pretty straight faces. But the crowd is pretty pleased with her performance. I will pause so that I can take a sip of water, but is there any sort of reactions or mild table talk as there's sort of a breath in the room and people wait for the final performance?
I will say, when Heart Crusher comes back, so a little retroactive, when Heart Crusher comes back from her performance, I will just like be like, oh, like that was amazing. You did such an amazing job. Just like giving my good faith, like congratulations to the other contestants, just being like nice, I guess, and polite. Yeah. And then doing the same thing with A-Tail when she gets back, just like being like, that was an absolutely beautiful, marvelous performance.
Yeah, Heart Crusher just kind of gives you like a hearty clap on the shoulder and says, thanks.
Right.
You did good too. And A-Tail just sort of like gives a warm like quarter bow towards you to acknowledge what you said. Anything from the other table?
Hey, Klax, you okay over there? Seem a little grumpy.
Yeah, who's that person you were chatting with?
We should enjoy the show right now. And death grip on the table still. Like there are claw marks getting in the table.
I mean, is there like a problem? Do we need to like worry about it? Is there someone we should like
think twice?
You need me to tie her up in the air in a very humiliating fashion?
Nothing out of Klax at this moment. He is shut down. He is still processing what is going on. He is, you just, no clapping, no movement, no nothing. He's just staring at the stage. That's it.
I will say, as Drada mentions tying somebody up, you hear the voice who's very close to your table sort of whispers in and says, I don't recommend that, dear.
That's towards
me.
Be a bad time for all of us.
She says it to Drada, but it's the voice that you recognize.
She gets back like the most callous teenage, like, okay. And then very much back to our conversation.
The worst.
I mean, you just know you're not a... Someone very wise told me once on a rooftop, you're not... There are people you can talk to if you need to.
Klax does let go of the table a little bit and just kind of gives a small nod over to Drada, and then kind of points his chin back towards the stage as if just dismiss it for now.
I forgot to mention, although her token is Mistress in Red, one of the reasons you didn't recognize her at first is that she seems to be wearing like a black dress right now.
Really?
Yeah, there's, which you can read into that as you like, but it's sort of uncharacteristic.
Mm-hmm. Very much. Okay. Thank you, DM.
Davis all like kind of going down, turning back towards the stage, and might still kind of just very quietly lean over and be like, "How like powerful is she?"
Just nods towards the stage.
Okay.
Oh, that was rad as hell. That was rad as hell.
What was that, Drana?
I was just saying that was rad as hell.
Eventually, Destin, young Destin, is
Destin.
greeted onto the stage. He is given the Song of Support, which will give him which gave him a bonus to his roll that I've already done. You guys don't have to roll an insight check to know that Destin doesn't know what he's doing.
I'm in love with him.
This is a child that has been thrust onto the stage probably because somebody was trying to elevate him and not because he has a talent for storytelling. It's sort of like, you can imagine you can imagine situations where that might happen. And I actually did not prepare any story for him because that's how bad it is.
No.
He gets on the stage, and I will say the audience recognizes what you recognize, and there's sort of like the atmosphere in the air of like, let's be polite, let's not ruin this kid's life. Like, people are kind of cheering and trying to reassure him. The story he tells is sort of minus the mumbles and stutters, talking about how he discovered his magic when he saved a cat from a tree.
Oh, so precious.
And there's and then he kind of gets like, in the reassurance he gets from the crowd, he starts to kind of like build into that, and he's like, and then I just created this little hand and it floated up, and then like I had to make the cat trust me, and so I just like was talking to the cat and saying, hey, you want to come down? And it has this, like, the kid is feeling the vibes of the room and he's feeling a little reassured, but it's clear that he's not a storyteller.
So I mean, gauging the performance, I'm sitting in a position where I can look at him and Dark Draft. I'm really looking at Dark Draft at this point. Like, is he mad, angry, upset? Like, what's the vibe coming off him?
Roll an insight check with advantage, because Dark Draft is not hard to read.
Great.
There you go. Dark Draft actually seems happy with the results. Like, Dark Draft seems, I would say, you can't read his mind even with the 26, but it's sort of like he has orchestrated this kid to get attention, and the kid has been warmly received, and he's happy with that.
Okay. I'm not happy with that insight check. Like, in terms of like how I'm feeling about it, I'm just gonna keep my eyes on him.
Yeah, fair enough. But as far as you can tell, Dark Draft is like playing with the crowd. In fact, it's possible that he may have been the one to start the movement to get everybody to cheer this kid on. But there is a recognition in the air that it's like, it wasn't a good story. So
right. I'm just worried that he's being used for something.
But eventually, Destin is sort of like, with a fresh, sort of still shy smile on his face, he just sort of scuttles off the stage, having completed the story. At which point, Avendir sort of stands up and says, "Another round of applause for each of our 4 contestants. Thank you all for giving us your amazing stories." And there's, as you guys are doing it, there's applause that is sort of overlapping with Avendir's voice, and says, "The judges will confer to set their initial round of scores. After tomorrow's competition, we will reveal the who of the competitors will make it to the final round, combining both today's scores and tomorrow's. But for now, of course, I will another friendly reminder to the competitors: if you could please make sure to return to the Rising Melody tomorrow morning to register for the Day 2 competition. That would be wonderful. And then tomorrow evening, those of you with tickets to the Horizon Theater are welcomed to join us to watch the next set of performances. But for now, please stay, be merry, do as you wish, and I will see you all tomorrow. And there's just sort of like another kind of closing sort of set of applause as people start to shuffle around the room. Avendir's wait staff go around refilling cups, and the day is yours. At this point, not that it matters, the enhanceability has worn off, just in case it matters. But you start to see number of people are sort of politely leaving. Not everybody is here to mingle, especially a lot of the people in the bleachers. Just to start, you guys can kind of do whatever you want with that, but just to start things off, Jory does come up to Aesopp's table. Those of you who would be keeping eyes just see this sort of like very like sky-colored skin, Air Genasi sort of like rush up to Aesopp and just gives you a big hug.
I'm flustered. I am flustered. I return the hug, but I like reach around and grab him, and like I don't want to let go, but I know I should let go because of like social standards. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. And he just sort of comes up and says, "Good job out there."
Thank you. I couldn't see you until the end of the performance. Like the lights were blinding me. Sheesh. How'd it go? How'd it feel? How was the vibe? How was it? How was the vibe from the audience perspective?
I mean, you did amazing. Everybody that I was sitting around was equally impressed. So I think, I mean, I knew you could do it. Let's be fair.
Oh, Jory, stop. You're gonna make me blush.
It's good to see you.
Was it just you that came?
I'm afraid so.
Okay.
He kind of like leans in for a whisper and says, "After I got your letter, I talked to one of the judges, and I'm sort of an assistant."
Which one?
He sort of like whispers in your ear, the tiefling.
We've heard a lot of like really serious things about that man, right?
Yeah.
That's great news.
Yeah, he's the dean of my department, so it seemed like my only way to get in, unfortunately.
But this seems like a great opportunity, though.
I mean, it seems like a good opportunity for you. Let's talk about that. How did you get here?
Oh, wow. Okay, so joined the Heroes Academy. Then I went to Vind, which is like a far off town.
Yeah. Do you catch him up on like all?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was gonna dive deep.
Before you get too in depth, I want to zoom over to the other table. You all see that Aesopp is having this interaction, but I know that there might be things happening over there too, as Aesopp is sort of sharing. a lot of people stand up to leave. I think it's probably natural that somebody looks back to see if the woman behind you, like what she's up to, and you sort of just get that she sort of like stands up and dusts herself off, and she looks like she's getting ready to leave unless anybody stops her.
Sorry, I made a template on the thing.
That's fine. I got it. She stands up and looks like she's going to leave unless anybody stops her.
Yeah, if she walked past any waiter or anything like on her way out that happens to be carrying drinks.
No, she's standing up pretty quickly before the waitstaff really gets out.
Fair enough.
I think I'd like look at Glax and just try to see how he's holding up, if he wants me to fuck around or if he's still in his feelings.
Fox is just still facing the stage, eyes forward, but he's composed himself a little bit. All I'm doing is listening for the rustle of her to leave to see if I don't want to turn around and give her the satisfaction that I care that much, even though obviously it's probably written all over body language that it's bothered me quite a bit, but I'm not going to turn around, so I'm just going to bite my tongue before she leaves.
You wait for like 3 heartbeats before you hear behind you say, "You had nothing to say to your old friend? You don't want to catch up?"
At that point, I'll just slide my chair out slowly, stand up, tower over her as far as I know, but I'm not going to turn or impose, just going to turn and walk towards the door.
Just sort of as you're walking, she just says, "That's disappointing." And then she turns to the rest of the table and say, "You're friends with that guy?"
Yeah. You know him?
There are.
A little bit.
Also, sorry, I didn't get a name. We're Clax's friends. Who are you?
Oh, you should ask him about me. I'm sure he'll have a lot of nice things to say. But it's a pleasure meeting you all.
Nice seems like the operative word. Pleasure meeting you as well. And may I just say that an interesting dress. And then Drada looks away.
Yeah, she doesn't care.
Shady.
She's not following you, Clax, but it's sort of like that is the exit. And so there's sort of like she will be making herself that way to leave. So you tell me if you want to interact with that in any way.
Nope, what I'll do is I'll actually leave, circle back up along the left side where there's open air, kind of come back in through one of the other openings.
Okay. Yeah.
Just that way, if she comes back, then I know she's looking for a fight, for lack of a better term.
No, you do a lap around the building over the next like 2 minutes, and when you come back, you haven't seen her.
Okay.
It's possible in the meantime. I think Drada's role is beverage support in this here Tournament of Tales to a flagged waiter and be like, "Hi, whatever the strongest alcohol, I don't know alcohol, whatever the strongest thing you got is, can we get some on the table? Thank you."
And I'll just like chime in, like without being overly expensive.
That is important.
Yeah, in most places I don't think Flint would have chimed in with that. In this bar...
Well, I mean, unless you guys are going to do anything in particular over there, Aesopp, you have caught up Jory on... Is there anything you're like leaving out?
Honestly, no.
Okay. I imagine.
Him and I have been through some things.
Yeah, you're probably not getting into like the minute details of like, and then the necromancer's puzzle was this, like, you know.
No, I'm diving deep in the necromancer, thieves guild drama, like all of the shenanigans we've been involved with.
There's at some point, like the other competitors have sort of stood up and started to mingle, and Jory has just taken one of the chairs next to you, and he's kind of giving like the this look,
Right.
who's like entranced by your story, with his elbow on the table and holding his chin up, and he just says, "I mean, that's amazing. Is this what you were looking for when you left?"
Honestly, I wasn't particularly looking for anything, just kind of like finding my own way. And right now, this is it.
And you're going to work for this Avendir fellow?
For now, we'll see how it continues forth into the future. But for now, it gives me a path, and I at least have the freedom to do what I will in that path moving forward. You know what I mean?
Well, I am proud of you.
Oh, and I'm proud of you. We've been through hell and back at university, and just seeing us how we grew out of it, and where we are now.
Well, I hope, I mean, I'll be around for the next few days, but I hope that you'll keep me apprised of your stories as they continue.
I don't have a way of contacting you just yet, but I could send you letters if you want an address. If you have an address.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you have it already, because you have already
yes,
sent the letter.
Sent it, yes.
I mean...
Flustered.
Well, I did, because after I talked to my boss, sort of indicates back at the judge, who at this point you're actually kind of seeing them walk out together, all of the judges. And you kind of get the sense from Jory that he needs to go soon, because he sort of looks back and notices they're leaving, and it's sort of like I should follow them, but he says, but he sort of offers a final thought. He's like, I should be in town for a few days. I'm just helping him with various things. But before I came, I did stop by to see your family, to see if they had anything. Unfortunately, they weren't there. I met with... I asked the neighbors, and I think it sounds like they're on assignment right now.
You would think they would just kind of leave that life behind. They're getting old.
Aren't they retired?
I thought so. They're definitely at that age, but thanks for the info.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
After, obviously growing up with them, they definitely can handle themselves. Just they're getting a little bit more older.
Well, I'll be sure to, if I learn of their return, I'll be sure to share with them what happened today, and what I hope to see over the next couple days.
Yeah, that'd be great. What place are you staying at?
He sort of looks back, and his boss is like out the door at this point, and he says, we're at the Lavender something.
Okay, yeah, know where that is.
I have to go, but I'll
That's
see
fine.
you soon.
Yeah, tomorrow if you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be performing again, or God knows what I'm doing tomorrow. But yeah, you'll see me.
He sort of like gives a warm smile and just gives you like one last quick hug, and then he says, "Sorry, I gotta go."
Bye. And as he leaves, like I kind of look back, like watching him leave. Just like breathe out a heavy sigh and just like slam my head in the table. Like I didn't say anything again, and just move over to the group.
Who was that? Looks like you were having a lovely conversation.
That was Drury, fellow college grad, part of my main friend group. We've definitely many shenanigans, him, me, and the rest of our friends, who unfortunately could not make it, but I'm glad he's here.
Those
You two
eyebrows
like
raised
an
on the word
item,
shenanigans.
I'm sorry, Flint.
Are you two like an item? You seemed very close.
Shenanigans.
We've known each other since we got into Titlefall. Didn't really have a lot of friends, kind of like outsiders, especially for me as a Minotaur, but he was one of the first few friends I had. And there's just like some redness going on if Minotaurs can blush, if cows can get that, but or bovine creatures can get that, but yes.
I
Hey,
tend to
you went
think-
to. Sorry.
I was gonna say I tend to think the fur is face fur is not as thick, and so sure, there's a little bit of blushing.
Sure. Fantasy. What was that, Mass?
I was gonna say, you went to Titlefall?
I did.
Do you know the Alabaster guy?
I know of him. However, I'm not a big history geek. I never really took classes in that department, unfortunately. Jory has. And that's why and I'm whispering, I'm like, Under the Fly, like he got like an internship with that guy, so that's why he's also like kind of here helping out. But yeah, I didn't really work with him all that much. He's not related to the Frelly family. Not related.
Have to use your alumni ticket to get some.
Maybe. Oh yeah,
Mouse
maybe I
has
should.
no idea how universities work. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a possible conversation to have.
How are you feeling about how today went?
Well, as you guys probably saw, there was a slight snub in the performance. I think it was one of the contestants. Like that's why I was like trying to like gauge her like persona as I was heading back, like all smile, like, oh wow, like that was really good. Like trying to see like who was trying to be fake about it, but I couldn't like see who it was, you know? So I don't know who it was, but I hopefully I bounced back from that. That took me off guard completely. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. That was interesting.
Well, I thought you recovered quite well.
Oh, thank you.
Aesopp,
Yeah, hey, what's up?
I'm sorry.
Sorry for what?
I'm the reason you were counterspelled.
But you can't do magic though. You didn't do the counterspell thingy, did you? Can you
No.
use magic?
I cannot. But I pissed somebody off who can. And it wasn't Puddles.
Oh, that's shocking.
When we get back to the hotel, I'll talk to you guys some more.
Okay.
You get a quick glare from Drada, or a flash of the eyes, being like, "There's some shit here," like big warning sign, like crossing red
What?
lights.
Oh, like, are you flashing those eyes towards me?
Yeah, I'm just like, as this is being brought up, like something to unpack there. Fair warning.
Okay.
Energy shaking head a
I
little
just
bit.
kind of nod. I'm like, well, I mean, I still feel like I did great. I mean, you didn't cast that spell, Clax. Like, I don't blame you at all. I don't think you have to apologize.
Walk up, put a hand on the shoulder. You did great.
Thanks. So are we headed home?
I assume it's still fairly early in the day.
It's fairly early. A lot of the I'm just too lazy to delete all these tokens, but a lot of them are gone.
Actually, I should go ahead.
I was gonna say it's sort of like the you can imagine this. We've all been to like conventions and stuff. It's like the event takes place and everybody disperses to go be tourists around the city, and so it's sort of like, now that this phase of the tournament is over, most people are leaving except for, I'd say, Heart Crusher's probably still here just drinking, but a lot of the lords and other competitors and stuff are just completely gone. And it seems like Avendir, who sort of like made note that you guys are having a conversation, is giving you space to like decompress, but he's sort of just running around making sure tables get cleaned and things of that nature.
I was gonna say, I think I should probably have a conversation with Avendir before we head out or do anything. So I'm gonna make my way over there.
Sure.
Do you guys want to come with, or do you think I should just have this solo?
We've all, in theory, got to have solo conversations with Avendir anyways, so
Okay.
as well.
Might as
knock
well
that
just,
out.
be the time for me to do it. So, if you guys are gonna stay here, I'll be right back. and I'll head over to Avendir, wherever he is.
Okay. He sort of finishes directing somebody. He was just sort of asking somebody to clean this table, clean that table, and they sort of walk off, and he says, "Well, that went well, I think."
Yeah. Besides that slight slip up that someone decided to throw against me, I think I still did pretty good.
Well, I am very happy to have heard that story. And I got the sense that your adventures in my service so far have been a little bit more eventful than I thought.
Yeah, just a tiny bit.
Well, I am grateful for both your performance and for the aforementioned service, but is there something I can help you with?
You said you wanted to have solo conversations, and I just wanted to see if you wanted to talk to me about anything
sure.
after the first round.
Yeah, let's do it. He kind of looks around the room and sees that like nobody's here anyway, and he actually, instead of like burning more of this oil with the purple energy, he ends up just sort of walking you to the back room where you had originally
Talked with Aurelia.
Yeah. She's also left. I just haven't yet. I'll just delete her as well. But he brings you to the back room and says, "Well, I know when we first met and you wanted to work, we talked about this partnership. You said you wanted to have some interesting experiences. So I hope this is a sign that things are interesting for you."
Yes, definitely a success in that category for sure. I initially wanted to join the Heroes Academy to find out where my destiny lies. And I kind of like wiggle the two tails, and I kind of look down at them like, are you aware behind the history of two-tailed minotaurs?
Absolutely not.
Very rare, I will say, in Minotaur culture. However, as I inherited, I assume, from my father, who is also a two-tailed Minotaur, within our culture, it means someone of great or horrible destiny in the world. Someone who will leave a lasting impact on their surroundings in any way, shape, or form, whether it be good or bad. And there is literature within our people to verify that it has been good or bad. And I don't want that to define me as someone just stuck on that kind of linear path. I just want to forge what I want to do, my own destiny. That was kind of my beginning introduction with my performance. And through this, even though you have us on missions, whether it be linear or not, I still feel like I have the freedom to do things that I want to be doing, diving into research and hobbies and crafts that I want to do and master. So I mean, I would like to stay if you want me to.
Of course. I mean, my priorities aren't really. I don't know that I don't know that working for me will create a grand tale or a major disaster. I hope if anything, it's the former. But I think you have a lot of spirit, and those are the sorts of people that I hope will carry me through my ventures moving forward. And I hope to support that for you as well. I have what I'm looking for in this group isn't just everyday mercenaries or sort of the staff that I employ. He sort of like indicates at the door behind him, leading back to the bar,
Right.
sort of suggesting the waitstaff. It's like they're. I'm very appreciative of the people who work for me, but what I really need is guidance on people to keep me in check, people to help me find out how I can use this wealth that I have in a good and effective way. And so, to the end of understanding you and your needs, well, I don't know how that overlaps with your research and your finding yourself, but I do hope that there's maybe shared purpose, because in a way I'm trying to find myself as well.
I think our goals definitely align in continuing this relationship.
Well,
And by the way, you're going to be great at your next position as Lord.
I feel like there's adversity, and I feel like I have the resources that I need to challenge that, but we'll see. Even just the people I met in Vind when I was having my round of dinners with the local lords and ladies, they were themselves a challenge, and I don't think they want me there, so I'm hoping that I can do something to make them less combative. Which, to be clear, is not saying that I'm going to do anything harmful,
Right.
but I hope to win their support, as well as the support of others that may be future partners. So, anyway,
Well,
that's a lot about me, but
I know you've already asked of our help with our initial mission before we came together as an official group, but if you ever need our help, don't be afraid to reach out.
oh, I mean, if we work together, I certainly plan to. I hope after these meetings to meet with everybody together and sort of make a more formal offer. But even if that doesn't work out, I'd be happy to count you among my friends, and maybe there's still work to be done.
I feel the same way.
Are you all set for tomorrow?
I am.
Given what little we've told you?
Yeah. Just whoever did that counter spell, is that in the little pranks that are in the rules and regulations for this competition, or does counter spell go a little bit too far?
It's probably riding the line, but there's a reason that one of Aurelia's songs would prevent that kind of interference. And, unfortunately, the song you chose, while helpful, just wasn't able to counter that particular thing.
Right. Okay.
No, we've had people actually, hurt others before.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, or paralyze them in some way. So,
sheesh.
Causing little hiccups. I mean, I don't mean to belittle what happened, but it was riding the line, and there's nothing, unfortunately, that we can do about that.
I understand.
But you did very well.
Thank you. I will be joining the rest of the group. Thank you for this conversation, and looking forward to what happens with our future together.
As am I. If I may ask, this is totally your choice, but I would be eager to see the entire team register tomorrow, just for my own purposes.
Okay, what do you mean? Like all of us together? Oh, okay. All of us together registering tomorrow. Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
They don't have to if they don't want to, but it would. Well, without revealing anything, I would be happy to see them all on stage.
Okay. Okay. I would definitely add that little piece of advice in our soon-to-be conversations, most likely.
Very well. He gives you a polite kind of head nod, and you are led out of the room. And is the table talking about anything while Aesopp's gone?
What kinds of things do you think we're gonna do tomorrow? I know we've had days to think about this, but what kind of skills do you think we should prepare?
Definitely a tag team wrestling match. Yeah, I have no idea.
It's gonna be a vibe, and we might tell a story, and we might do a thing. That sounds exciting, I guess.
I mean, we've figured out every challenge that's come our way thus far. I'm sure it'll be no problem.
Yeah. I assume it'll be like dragons. Like we'll definitely have to fight like a dragon or something.
Yeah, I think feels right for Avendir just to have dragons on retainer. Yeah, that feels fair, logical, reasonable.
And Aesopp returns to the table.
Hey, y'all.
How was your chat?
Great, actually. He just kind of reaffirmed that I did really good and just kind of talked about our partnership with him. Oh, yeah. He did say that he recommends and would really appreciate that we all register for tomorrow's event in the morning.
That was my intent.
I mean, yeah.
It wasn't mine, and I don't think with the certain people in the audience it'd be in the best interest of this group if I were on stage with you.
No.
Max, we need you up there.
Let's sleep on it.
We don't even know what it'll be. We might really need you. The rest of us
Also,
are not.
This is
So,
true.
hello, we talked about this like a week ago when we were back in Mistral, and I said I would be more than happy to provide arrows / general background support, and you said you would join me in that, and I would not take kindly if you betrayed me on that promise.
I
Hey,
thought
stop joking.
that was us not being on the stage, right? That was my understanding when we had that conversation, correct?
I mean, I was prepared either way, but regardless, I want you there. I want to be there for Aesopp however best we can, but also, if we can help you in any way, prep, let us know.
Yeah, just understand I might be bringing additional inconvenience.
Inconvenience, schminconvenience. That's fine. We all want you with us when we go on stage tomorrow, class.
I bet we could disguise you if you were really worried about it.
I'm a 6'8" golden dragonborn.
The only
I
dragon
have a
I've
really
seen
cool.
so far.
I appreciate the offer, Mouse, but I'd probably stick out. Okay. So what do you guys want to do? Let's go enjoy the day.
More bread?
More bread. Let's eat. Let's
Celebratory
celebrate.
bread.
I need some bread to soak up this alcohol, so.
All right, you all. For the purposes of moving things along, you tell me what you're getting, and then tell me how the night unfolds. You haven't really seen many familiar faces at the canopy, but unless you're really going to go exploring, the day is yours to do what you wish to prepare for tomorrow.
So, Clax, what you gonna tell us about this friend of yours?
Where are we at currently? Are we out in
But-
public? Are we?
Yeah, let's say you're. Where would you like to have this conversation?
I think I'd feel somewhat comfortable if we were no one within earshot. Like if we're or like in a very public place, like walking on the street, I guess would be okay. I don't want to be like where everybody could just kind of eavesdrop. So no bars, taverns, or anything like that.
Yeah, I'd say walking down the street, the traffic, especially because you guys stuck around a little bit longer, you weren't part of the crowd that left, so you're sort of, you have relative privacy as you're walking through town.
All right. So long story short, she's the reason I'm not in the city watch. She's into smuggling. She's into all kinds of wonderfully nasty things. I tried to bring her to the authorities. I did not have enough evidence, and that essentially was the end of it. She's manipulative. She's conniving. She thinks she's better than everybody else. And I'm not saying she's not smart. She is very smart, and she is very well connected, and she knows what she's doing. But she needs to pay the piper. And now here's the problem. We're in here representing Avendir. We're here putting the best foot forward. So as much as I would love just to meet her in a back alleyway and solve this, the reality is I want dirt. And I kind of look over at Drada. I want to find whatever information we can get. Doesn't have to be today. Doesn't have to be tomorrow. Doesn't have to be a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. I want to bury her. And I don't mean literally. I mean figuratively. I want her to spend the rest of her days in a prison cell rotting away. And there's more to the story, and I'll fill it in some other time when we got more time, but just walking. She will cause problems just to be spiteful. So that's where I'm at, is how do I draw the line between protecting Avendir's interests? After my conversation with him specifically yesterday, I was told do not cause a problem because he told me she might be on premise.
I mean, she can't do that much. Like, without getting herself in trouble at these sort of public events.
I did ask during our my one-on-one with Avendir, as I didn't realize that this woman was the person. Was this woman the person who did the counterspell?
Yes, this is who did the counterspell.
Yeah. I did ask if the counterspell is part of like the rules and regulations prank part of the whatever of the tournament, and he said it was barely touching that line, like barely, almost at that point.
And honestly, I don't think if I was sitting so close to her, I would have even noticed. But I think she did, and I think she was loud enough to make it known. I think it was purely intentional. And that's the type of person she is. I don't think she had any interest other than I rooted too loudly. She recognized me and said, okay.
Do you think I should have a conversation with her just to introduce myself, not know, like pretending to not know like who she is? Would that work? Would that help?
Again, I don't want to underestimate her. You know, I think right now, if we can see, I almost, I'm looking at draw it again. I almost want to see if we can't, follow her, trail her, see if we can't find any information, do anything we can to get some dirt on her. But I also know she's no dummy. I don't think she would have brought anything with her. And if she did, I guarantee it's going to be under lock and key, and probably magical lock and key. And the last thing we need to do is cause a problem.
Right. We know she has magic capabilities, that's for sure.
And she's got connections and money.
think I would get Flint be like, maybe there's something we could do about magical lock and key, but maybe I
I
don't know.
mean,
Regardless, like, I'm more than happy. You know this at any moment. Vibe in the dark and follow people. Add spite to the mix. Delicious. Absolutely delightful. Be a pleasure.
DM, quick question. As being from Consonance as well, would I have heard anything about this noble family name?
I don't. I'm trying. Clax, I don't think you've shared a name yet.
Oh,
I have not.
sorry. That question's void.
Well, no. I mean, you can just ask me the question.
I mean, I'm assuming you know her name then if you've worked. Did you work with her? Did you, were you associated with her?
I tried to arrest her, and it did not work out very well for me. And I lost two of my team members getting the information I had to try and arrest her.
Shit.
She's part of the Vaughn family.
B-O-N?
B-O-N. Her name's Selna. S-E-L-N-E. And she's, like I said, she's cruel, she's smart, she's ambitious. And she's involved in a lot of very shady stuff. Wait, one guess, sorry.
No problem. Give me, because you did ask, give me a history check with disadvantage. It's also a pretty high DC.
Yeah, I just wanted to see.
That was a 20. That was a 20 on my screen and roll back.
Oh,
Nope,
yeah,
that-
nope.
No clue whatsoever.
No clue.
It's whatever she is into is not in your circle.
Right.
So, let's get some bread on our way over there. But other than that, I'm open for ideas. But like I said, for Erevan, with everything going on right now, the fact that we're tied directly to him, or through me, I have incorporated you all in this mess. As much as I want to take action, I don't know if now's the time to take action. But the fact that she's made herself known, she's here, I mean, she traveled, I mean, she might have an entourage, might have some other people here. So maybe that's it. And we're still walking, I'm just talking. So maybe that's our angle. Maybe we don't go after her. Maybe we find who she traveled with. We follow with them, get some names, get some people, start digging network. Like I said, I'm going to need proof and evidence, and I want to bring her down. Just going directly after her, I don't think is going to be too fruitful for me.
I will let two of you roll a wisdom check. I will let you decide who those two people are.
I will participate.
Can also participate. I think it'll be good. We can try.
Solid.
Hey.
Nat 20.
Okay. And I think this is so even mouse of 15 is not good enough for what I was thinking. I actually set the DC at 20.
Oh.
So draw to reflecting on this conversation and sort of like the thought that Clax planted in your mind was like, who is she talking to? And you think back to the opening ceremony. You didn't recognize her because she didn't do anything at the time, but she was there. She didn't stand out. She didn't. Clax must not have seen her the first night, but she was there, and you saw that she was among people who were having private meetings under the guise of the sort of purple spheres. Among them, one of the meetings that she had of the people that you sort of recognize was the Ellen Trugust, the mayor of Skywind. She had, but I will say, like with a 22, you don't have an exact catalog of every meeting she had, but you know that she was meeting with a number of people. She wasn't there to meet with one person.
I think I relay some of that information. I don't know if I'd say Ellen Truga specifically, but be like, I remember her chatting with a whole bunch of folks on opening ceremony, so there's a whole bunch of leads, but like happy to start digging.
We just have to be discreet because if she's having meetings with them, we can already assume that they're all, for lack of a poor nomenclature, but in cahoots together. They're doing something together. There's a reason they're meeting, especially the more and more I think about this, and I'm sure Avendir is aware of it. And that's maybe he's going to be a better noble than I thought. You know, they're selling those elixirs so they can have private conversations. You get a bunch of nobles in one place where they can meet and have conversations that are going to be out of earshot of anybody because of the magical protection they afford. What better place to sit and devise plans that you don't want anybody else to know about? You got the pretense and the excuse to meet with people you wouldn't normally meet with. You've got it protected by magical parameters, so you don't have to have people listen in. Brilliant. Again, she's smart. That's why I just worry about taking action now. I feel we don't know enough. But if you can, Drod, if you can remember, or maybe tomorrow, if you can point out some of the people that you recognize that she met with, maybe we can start from there.
Happy to.
Yeah, with a 22, unfortunately the DC is sort of like would have been 25 to recognize faces. 22 is like, oh, that's one of the names that was announced. So it's not even like Ellen's face that you recognize as much as you recognize the name.
Sure.
Like you might be able to feel a crowd and figure something out, but you don't have any direct leads like that for other people.
I mean, if it's more the name than anything, then yeah, I will communicate. Definitely saw her with Ellen.
All right, so that's and she was the mayor of. Wait, one. She was the mayor of Skyhelm, right?
Correct.
Interesting. Sorry, let me go to the world map real quick.
You know, we
Skyhelm is pretty close to Ildre, actually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There it is. Got it. Interesting.
You are on the perimeter of bread. What bread do you buy as you take a break from this heavy conversation?
Let's see.
And the bread's on me, guys.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm feeling like pastry, like a sweet pastry right now. So I think I'm gonna get like an apple fritter or like an apricot pastry. Just like something with like a little jelly in it. Just sounds so good right now. So I'm manifesting that in the game.
The halfling man who runs the shop is more than happy to have you spend his money on his delicate creations.
Mouse would like more cornbread and maybe some cannoli.
Of course.
Drada's feeling like an egg tart, and then maybe like a blackberry Danish vibe.
We're all gaining like 5 pounds while we're in.
If there is an establishment named Bread, we will go to Bread and we will eat so much bread.
Yes.
I think Flint's after like a chicken salad sandwich, like with maybe some avocado.
I don't think they have non-paste. Like, I don't think they have sandwiches.
Then I don't know. So
You buy a baguette, you kill a chicken, you also get an egg and make the mayo. You grow the avocado, you put it together.
We're getting there, yeah.
They do have sausage rolls. We did establish that yesterday.
Yes.
Flint will be quite happy with a sausage roll.
Is Clax just kind of fuming outside?
No, he goes in, looks, realizes he's not particularly hungry. He buys a sausage roll for himself and just kind of nibbles at it.
Okay.
Not understanding that he's not hungry for a change.
Yeah. Go ahead and just drop 7 silver.
7 silver eye.
And what would you like to do? I don't expect the game to go much longer because the second day of festivities will sort of be its own thing. But But is there anything you would like to do with the rest of this evening?
Do you have a sense for like what kind of, you know, no good shenanigans, whatever she was involved in, or was there like a local thieves guild or something that she had associations with or anything? Like,
Like the materials she was like dealing with. Is that what you're talking about?
well, just the material or the groups involved, or just trying to figure out if we have any good, you know,
Starting
leads
point.
or favors we can call in or what we're looking for.
So I am assuming it's directed towards me.
Yes.
Oh, on her end, it's smuggling. Um, I know for a fact she's involved in drug trafficking. I believe there's also indication she might be doing more, but I don't know what that would be. And that's where I was kind of I cornered a kind of a higher level dealer in the town, and we essentially took his estate and got some evidence, but it wasn't enough to pin anything on her. So again, don't know everything that she's involved in, but with that family being as well connected as they are, and the rumors that have gone around, the rumor mill over the years, I can't tell you everything that she's in, but at a minimum, she's in drug trafficking.
Do I have any idea if the Jade Mask has any involvement in drug trafficking?
You can roll history check.
As he's rolling, Clax, what's like the face she puts onto the public? Like, what is she actually supposed to do as like a noble family?
It's a good question. I've never understood what nobles do to begin with. She's a socialite, well connected in the circles, well regarded and respected. There's rumors around her, but again, like I said, she's extremely intelligent, handles herself very well. So I think it's one of those she's sidestepped a lot of the concerns that people brought up.
Yeah.
She's, if I remember correctly, I don't even think she's technically the heir to the family, but the word on the street is she's going to be the heir because she is the smart, the strong, the ambitious. She's going to take that over. And the reason she's always called the Lady in Red is, she's always wearing red, or Mistress Red, forgive me. And I think the reason I missed her was I just was looking for red, and for her to not be in red was a bit of a shock, honestly. So maybe that's an incognito because she's traveling. I don't know.
Tacky, but that's an aside. Given that said she's a socialite, the odds are probably staying at the Sanctum Lavender.
Probably.
Okay.
What one can assume.
Might spend some time there in the coming days.
I would only correct you. You don't know this for a fact, and I'm not suggesting one way or the otherwise. I will say, like, Sanctum Lavender is sort of for people who are looking for comfortable lodging, which could be lords and ladies, but it's not like if you are in a powerful enough position, you probably have your own estate or you have friends that you're staying with, like you have a place. You wouldn't expect every single person to be in one of these three inns. I'm going to rewind to Flint's role regarding the Jade Mask and drugs. As far as you know, no. They tend, while they have a history in smuggling, it's generally more like they will do that work on behalf of others, but they themselves don't really have like empires of things that they smuggle, if that makes sense. So it's like possible that they've maybe smuggled some drugs at some point, but that it wouldn't like they would have been doing that probably for a hefty fee.
So likelihood that they are involved in this seems small, given how far away they are from consonants and not dealing in the same sort of.
I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, you don't know how wide her influence is, but I would say you have no direct knowledge of anything that's connected to this.
I mean, we could try and call in a favor to the Jade Mask. I don't know how much they are feeling like providing us favors. They did give us the emerald back. That's probably the extent of it in their minds. But
I think I don't know if they're in our head right now.
yeah,
Well, hold on. Is this information that could be bought rather than calling in a favor?
maybe.
I mean,
Some of the
given
problem is we
Flint's
are
super secret, super cool, super connections with such an organization, I mean,
It's-
what wonders could you work?
I mean, I don't have that much of connections with them. It's just
So he
very
says.
minor.
He says.
But I'm just saying we know some people in the Jade Mask. It's a potential source of information for illegal activities. But I don't know if it's going to be.
I just remembered something else I was going to add when the question arose about what her public-facing role is. I think Avendir had suggested this to you the first time you spoke to him about her, was just that she is an investor.
Yes. Yep, that is correct.
Yeah, which is not necessarily her public-facing role, but it's sort of like the other sort of line you have on what she does.
And I'll relay that as well. Thank you. I had forgotten about that. Appreciate it. Yeah, you have a good memory.
I have a lot of notes.
Yeah.
Well, the in-game hour is getting late, as well as the out-of-game hour, so I kind of want to do a last call. Is there any conversations you want to have, either related to this or unrelated to this, or activities you want to pursue before everybody beds down at the canopy?
The only thing I'd do is maybe when I see Drada by himself a little bit, go over and approach him. Hey, Drada.
What's up?
Just, I know you mentioned the mayor and everything. If you don't mind, when tomorrow goes down, just I don't think don't think the atmosphere is going to be conducive to the same type of situation that the last 2 nights were. But just keep an eye and see if you can tag any individuals that she makes contact with, no matter how small and how insignificant. See if we can't start building off of something. If you don't mind me asking this favor.
Already planning on it.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I am going to lay down in bed, exhausted and tired and weary for the next day. But I'm going to be drawing in my book instead of writing. Just a picture of me and someone else. Just something that just got brought up that I got reminded of. So.
Anything from Flint and Mouse or Drada?
Drada's doing the same, but it's longing portraits of Destin.
I can't tell if you're trolling or not.
I'm 100% trolling. Also, let me remind you that Drada is 17 and this isn't weird.
Yeah, I understand.
A 17-year-old character in D&D. Oh God.
Mouse, Flint.
Mouse would follow her, spend a little time outside, just enjoying the fresh air and the stars and the quiet for a minute before eventually bedding down back inside with everybody else.
Yeah, I think Flint has a fairly standard night. He's thinking hard about ways he might try and help track down this Red Mistress or whatever, but I don't think he's got anything in particular for this evening.
No immediate skullduggery. Gosh.
I mean,
Not yet.
hard to find her in the city with no leads as to where she might be.
Yeah,
This is true.
That's fair. All right. You all bed down, and we will end the game there. Feel free to hit the long rest button now if you just want to, but we will end the game there and pick up next week. Is everybody free? The 24th?
Yeah, so once you're done with the streaming, let me know.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, but thanks for playing. We'll hang that up.